Welcome into the Mike Missinelli Show. You got Bill Colarulo and Ray Dunn, Sean Rodman behind the glass. A lot to talk about today. A tradition like no other starts today, the Masters. But we're not going to spend too much time because this is Philly sports radio, not golf radio.
4-hour breakdown of the Masters. Who you should be betting on. Who's teeing off. Let's get into it.
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind doing 4 hours on the Masters. But Mikey Miss is down at the Masters. That's why he's not here today. He won't be here tomorrow either. But a lot to react to. We're going to start with the Philadelphia Phillies, who won, as I just heard Connor describe it, a gutsy win last night, a come-from-behind win down at Truist Park against the Atlanta Braves in a Taiwan Walker start, Ray Dunn. A Taiwan Walker start again. 0 earned runs on the season. The Phillies are now 2-0 in Walker starts, exactly as we predicted it, Ray.
I'm just going to say, if yesterday you could walk in here like, oh, look at me, I'm a genius for Mundo Sosa in left field, you have to eat it today that you said they were going to get swept.
I thought that there was no chance that the Phillies would win last night. But Taiwan Walker, man, he goes how many innings? What do you go, 4 2/3? 4 2/3.
One more out.
Let me not shortchange our guy here. 5 hits, 0 earned runs. He strikes out 5. That's now 0 earned in 2 starts. But we'll break all of that down. But I want to talk about the Phillies in a more general topic today, because I was kind of thinking about this last night with the way that I have been maybe overreacting a little bit to what's now an 8-3 start for the Fightin' Phils. And Ray and I were texting back and forth on this. And do we tend to overreact to early season takeaways with our teams here in Philadelphia? And you don't have to go far back to look at the Philadelphia Eagles, right? They start the season last year 2-2, and they were really 1 drop pass away from being 3-1. Yet at the bye week, there was all-out panic across the city for various reasons. Some people were mad at the head coach and they wanted him fired. Some people were looking at the quarterback and he's not good enough. Some, and I will take blame on this too, were looking at the defense saying, what has changed? They went from the worst defense last year. They come back through the first 4 weeks. They're still a bad defense. Well, how did all that work out? After the bye week, they go on to basically win every single game except for one when Jalen Hurts gets hurt. They win the Super Bowl. So as we look at this Philadelphia Phillies team, and they are 8-3, I know there are things that we can critique, and I know there are things that we should have our concerns about. But do we tend to overreact to the early seasons in this city? Right. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah. You think? Look at this town. I mean, you go back to, and I was very guilty of it with the Eagles, but I'm looking at this Phillies season. I'm listening this morning to Kincade and Salciunas, so they're asking whether there's more concern or more good things for a team that's 8-3. The way we were talking this morning, you forget this baseball team's 8-3. People are freaking out like, oh, the bullpen's not good enough. Oh, what's going to happen in the outfield? It is April 10th, man. They're 8-3. They could have only won 3 more baseball games so far than what they've played. And now they've taken 2 of 3 from the Dodgers. They're in a position today to potentially take 2 of 3 from the Braves. How many other World Series favorites at the NL do they have to beat? Like, I understand there are things that when you watch this team, you're like, oh, I don't know if that's sustainable. Yeah, in October. It's April. That's 6 months from now. There's a lot of baseball that has to be played before then. We get way overreactive with Philly stuff, and I'll say it, I was way guilty of getting overreactive for Eagles things because it was early on that season. They had a lot to figure out as a team for the Eagles, and for this Phillies team, they have a lot to still figure out. They still have a lot to put in front of them. But we overreact like crazy to early season takeaways. And it's right now, you can feel just kind of the continuous seesaw on certain players in certain situations. Like last night, I'm sitting there watching, I'm like, oh my, we're going to have the Jose Alvarado conversation tomorrow, aren't we? Like, we're going to have to do that.
He battled, man.
He battled. He got out of it. But it's also hilarious to me, like, we're watching this Phillies team, and they flash the graphic when the Braves go to the bullpen of, like, this is the Phillies batting against the bullpen. And it's like, yeah, they played a bad Nationals bullpen, a bad Rockies bullpen, so that helps inflate it. But they also came back against the Dodgers. Like, that was something that happened there. That's included in these numbers. Then we watch the Phillies bullpen. Well, the Phillies bullpen is a disaster. Well, How many bullpens have it figured out on April 10th?
You see, listen, like I asked the question, do we overreact to sometimes early season takeaways? And I think we do. And I think there are scenarios where we do. And certainly the Eagles are the prime example that completely turned it around at the bye week and go on to win the damn Super Bowl. But I look at this Phillies team, and I think there is some overreacting, and it's both. It's negative and it's positive. Like when we overreact, it's not just always in the negative. I think Mikey Miss, if he was here, would tell you people are probably overreacting to the start that Edmundo Sosa's having. I mean, I'm already seeing he should be your everyday third baseman. Sosa needs to be your starter at shortstop. Trade Trey Turner. Probably not going to happen.
The Taiwanasans?
Yeah, the Taiwanasans. That's a good name right there.
That's not mine.
Who made that one up?
Anthony DeBundo from The Ringer was the first one I saw have that one.
The Taiwanasans. Sign me up as a Taiwanasan. Listen, Taiwan's already given you more than what anyone thought that he was going to give you this year. All of us wanted him DFA'd last year. We were all angry that he was even coming back this year. So I do want to take a deeper dive into the Taiwan Walker conversation as well coming up. And we're going to hear from Rob Thompson in the next segment about Taiwan Walker. But this is an interesting thing about, do we overreact to early season takeaways? And do you think, Ray, is this unique to our city? Or do you think that this is just something that sports fans do because we do live and die with every single moment of our teams? Like, if you're a true fan, and what does the word fan mean? Fanatic. If you are a true fanatic of your teams, you are going to live and die with every up and down.
Yeah, I think you will. I mean, I don't know if it's so unique to this town because I'm sure, like, New York, Boston, like that, they're probably going through it. I saw when the Dodgers were in town, Andy Pajes, I saw a million things from like Dodgers related. I don't know, the algorithm knew that I wanted Dodgers content or something, and they're like, Pajes should be a AAA outfielder. Like, they're freaking out about their outfield too. They're freaking out about guys that are bullpen. So I think this is just the expectation that comes with being a contender. And it's funny that like the Dodgers coming off a World Series, 1 week into the season, their fans are freaking out about stuff, and they spent $10 trillion. But I think it comes with the expectation. So, like, you obviously hold this team to a very high standard, but to start this season out with, like, anything that goes wrong is a disaster waiting to happen. Anything that goes right is, like, there are some people right now that are, like, throwing a parade for the chase rate of this team. They figured it out. They're not chasing anymore. And it's like, no, as much as I don't want you to lose sleep over the bullpen on April 10th, I also don't want you to make Broad Street plans for the fact that they haven't chased pitches in the first 11 games of the season. There's a ledger here. You got to keep it a little balanced here. We need to keep our emotions in check. Of course, we freak out. Like that's who we. I think it is very much in our DNA, but I think it's in the DNA of sports fans with high expectations for their team.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But we do want to hear from you. Like, how much do you allow yourself to get caught up in the early season happenings of your team? So you can hit us up on that. There's also a fun side topic I got going today. So today was John Madden's birthday. The great John Madden's birthday. And you could remember John Madden for many things. He was a great coach. He was a great analyst. But for me, I remember him as the name of the greatest sports video game of all time. So we want to hear from you on that as well. What's your favorite sports video game of all time? I'll get Ray's on the other side, and I want to get back to this conversation about, are we overreacting to some of these things with the Philadelphia Phillies, specifically the bullpen, the outfield, Alec, bleeping boom. Are we overreacting? And are we overreacting to Taiwan Walker? I already saw in the YouTube chat someone saying, is he our best pitcher? Well, we'll hear from Rob Thompson about Taiwan Walker's performance coming up right after this. This is the Mike Missanelli Show on 97.5 The Fanatic. 97.5 The Fanatic, Ray, if you didn't know. We'll be right back.
The Philadelphia
The Mike Missinelli Show here on 97.5 The Fanatic. We're celebrating another win in a Taiwan Walker start. And listen to this stat line for Taiwan. 4 2/3. Gives up 5 hits, 3 walks, strikes out 5, and another 0 earned runs. Ray, do you know what Taiwan Walker's ERA is on the season?
Ooh, I would say 0?
0.00. Exactly as we all predicted it, right? Exactly as we all predicted it.
I mean, listen, we're not going to, Taiwan is not in the cards yet, okay? We're not going to go all the way to that level. But every time he goes through a start where he puts you in a position to win a baseball game, that's a steal for you. Like the fact that you've already gotten, at this point, what? 10 2/3, carry the 1, 32 outs from him this season? That's a win for me. 32 outs without giving out a...
That's pretty good math right there.
I mean...
Was that right?
10 2/3? 10 innings?
Yeah, it's
3
a good
outs
job.
an inning?
That's a good job by you.
Thank you. The fact that you've gotten that from him already, and that was a big part, and I think we talked about this yesterday, or I just had an inner monologue at some point throughout the day while I was thinking about the Phillies, which happens very frequently during my day, that you couldn't get rid of him after last offseason because of the contract. We all knew he was coming back because of that contract. You gave him the opportunity to try and build himself back up over the offseason and try to be someone that can contribute. Now, Ranger Suarez goes down, and he has to slide in there as the 5th starter. If your 5th starter does not even this, like the 5 innings, 3 runs, like not even quality starts, but like something close to that, that's a win for you. I understand he's the highest paid 5th starter probably in baseball, but hey, at this point, the expectations have to be adjusted to what you saw last year, and so far, to get these 2 outings out of him for the first 2 starts of the year, that's a win for me.
Yeah, the Phillies are already playing with house money when it comes to Taiwan Walker this season. But the main topic for today that we were throwing around before the break was, do we tend to overreact to early season takeaways with our teams here in Philadelphia? Because we did it last year to the Eagles, and I'm guilty of it. The Phillies are 8-3, and I'm overreacting to a lot of things that we've seen in these 11 games. And the morning show this morning, they were talking about what are you positive about, what are you negative about already in this season, and are we overreacting to what we're seeing in 11 games? Now, I think we probably are in some scenarios, but not necessarily others. But let's talk about Taiwan Walker, because I don't think we are overreacting, saying he's already given us more than we ever would have dreamed he would have given us. And can we officially call this a bounce-back season for Taiwan Walker? Well, after the game last night, Rob Thompson, who met with the media, one of the first things he was asked was about Taiwan's performance so far this season. And listen to Rob Thompson on Taiwan.
Thought he was good. He battled a lot of trouble in the 2nd and 3rd. We gave him, and so he had a lot of pitches, a lot of stressful pitches. And our bottom of the 3rd was a long inning. We saw a lot of pitches, so he kind of got a second breath, I thought, in the 4th, and he pitched really well. Had a quick inning, went out in the 5th, and I think he was, because of the stressful pitches, I think he was probably a little gassed at the end, but got through it.
So that was Rob Thompson on Taiwan Walker, and it was just a really gutsy performance by him last night, and I said it going into last night's game, I thought the Braves were going to hit him around. I said, when you do it against the Rockies, that are a terrible team, that's a little bit different than doing it against a lineup like the Braves have. Even without Acuna in their lineup, they still have a very good lineup. And even though they've struggled so far this season, they're still deep. He was great last night. I'll tell you this. I know every season guy comes into spring training and you're told he's in the best shape of his life. To steal words from Brandon Marsh, dude, Walker is a unit. Dude, that guy is jacked out of his mind for a pitcher.
All right, Bill.
He's a big dude, man.
All right, Bill.
I was looking at his traps. You see those traps he's got, man?
I'm sure you were just checking him out just to see what exactly could I work on in the gym to get me like Taiwan.
Yeah, man, Taiwan. I
Listen,
liked it.
Opening segment here talked about some things people have reacted to negatively. I think I got to slow you on the Taiwan train here. This is a runaway train with you right now, talking about how much you love
getting his jersey.
It's a bounce-back season. It's a bounce-back 2 starts. It's been nice. It's been good to see. There are encouraging signs in terms of what he's getting as a chase rate in baseball right now. You'd be surprised how high he ranks at getting guys to chase, which is hilarious that guys are going to the plate against Taiwan Walker after the season he had last year, and they're not waiting for something inside the zone, which shows you that there's a little bit of deception from him. In terms of his walk rate, like these things, they've been encouraging. Obviously, the velocity's back. He's starting to get some swings and misses on pitches last year that he did not.
Correct.
Like there is reason to be encouraged that he is back to a form that is actually playable and not the guy you just trotted out there last year because you needed someone to cover innings. Let's the bounce back season thing. Take a deep breath. All right.
Yeah, it's probably early. It's early to say it's a bounce back, but you would agree. Even if all he has to do is hold down the fort until hopefully Ranger Suarez is back healthy. And then I'm assuming Walker moves to the bullpen. And now he becomes maybe your long arm in the pen.
Well, that's going to be that'll be interesting for, all right, Ranger, let's say Walker plays this out to the end of the month where he doesn't have a 0 ERA. All right, he will give up a run at some point. You know what? If he proves me wrong on that one, Brandon, in the back, TJ, you guys can clip that. We'll play that and mock me for thinking that Taiwan Walker was going to give up a run.
No one's going to mock you for that.
Yeah, but so eventually he's going to give up a run. Eventually at some point, let's say he pitches to a 3 ERA over the first month of the season. Ranger comes back. You know the stress that Ranger's had on his back, and you know that once he gets over a certain inning threshold, and potentially his role with this team doesn't look like it would be a starting job in October. Is it out of the possibility to say that, oh, Walker, you cover us? Right now, I'm not making this call. I'm saying that if Walker shows you this for another month. But, hey, Walker, can you cover us until we eventually get to the painter portion of this season?
Which could be in July.
And, again, I'm not taking Suarez out of the rotation for Walker at this point. I don't want people to listen and be like, wow, look, Ray's already got Walker as the 5 on this team. But if Rangers can't show that he can stay consistently healthy as a starter, and his role for this team come October is going to be in the bullpen, that's a conversation you might have sooner than many would anticipate. I don't think anyone thought when Walker was in the rotation to start opening day that was a conversation we would ever entertain. We're not there yet, but the thought could probably creep into your mind at this point.
Yeah, I'm not there yet. I don't even have the thought creeping in my mind.
Okay.
I'm still. I know what you're talking about with Ranger, and then come postseason is Ranger in the pen. But I think if Ranger comes back, and Ranger's going to want to be a starter. He's a free agent at the end of the year.
Of course he's going to want to be a starter.
So he wants to get starter money in free agency.
Hey, listen, Ranger. You know what I want? I want a World Series.
I'm looking, too. Taiwan's next start's probably coming against the Giants.
Yeah, it's next Monday, right?
Next Monday on Hatfield Frank's BOGO night.
You notice how I asked DeCecco to go to the game next Tuesday, right?
Oh, you're not bringing DeCecco to BOGO night. He'd send you
I'm not going to BOGO night.
Okay.
No, I boycott the BOGO nights. I haven't bought a hot dog since they got rid of $1 Dog Night.
Look at Ray. Boycott.
I got principles. I have principles, man.
Principles. Well, we're gonna continue this conversation about Taiwan Walker. Are you ready to say it's a bounce back? Ray's not. I don't think I am either, but I am impressed with what I saw in his first 2 starts. But do we overreact and get too caught up in the early season happenings with our teams? We do it across the board here in Philadelphia. And it actually doesn't bother me that we do it. I think this is the greatest part about being a fan of your sports teams is you live and die with the ups and downs. But we want to hear from you on that, 610-632-0975. And our fun side topic today, it's John Madden's birthday. So we want you to weigh in on the best sports video games of all time. I've already seen a bunch in the YouTube chat that I love. But when we talk about overreacting, we got to talk about the bullpen next because Rob Thompson said something post-game that I'm hoping he doesn't believe and that he's just trying to give some confidence to guys. But we'll play that for you coming up next.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phillies even the series. I'm Sean Rodman, and this update is brought to you by Delilah's. Don't miss any of the action on the hardwood, and certainly any of the after party. Show your ticket at Delilah's for complimentary admission after every home game. Delilah's Gentlemen's Club, always on top. Phillies win it late thanks to a home run in the top of the 9th from Trey Turner. Taiwan Walker went 4 2/3 scoreless innings as he allowed only 5 hits and 3 walks. In his 2 starts so far for Walker, he has not allowed a run. 1. Phillies look to take the rubber match tonight in Atlanta. Jesus Luzardo is on the mound for the Phillies and Spencer Schwellenbach for the Braves. First pitch is at 7:15. The NFL draft is now 2 weeks away. Andrew DeCecca will host a draft special tonight right here on 97.5 The Fanatic at 6 p.m. Sixers have officially announced that Tyrese Maxey is done for the season. He will miss the remaining 2 games. Sixers beat the Wizards last night. The team currently has the 5th best lottery odds. The win last night did not impact the team's lottery standings. This update is also brought to you by True Green. True Green, get a golf course quality lawn for less than you think. Sign up at truegreen.com. That's TRUgreen.com. True Green, the official lawn care treatment provider of the PGA Tour. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Giants, the Braves improved their record to 8-3 on the season. We got the NFL draft exactly 2 weeks away. Philadelphia Eagles with the last pick in the first round.
Why is that?
Because they won the Super Bowl, Ray.
No way. I feel like we would have talked about that.
Love it. Love it. But what we're talking about today is, do we tend to overreact to the early happenings of a season? Because we did do it to the Philadelphia Eagles last year at the bye for various reasons. And I think we were all guilty of it in one way or another. For me, I was overreacting to the defense because after 4 games, they were still terrible. And then all of a sudden, they become the best defense in the NFL. A lot of people out there were overreacting to the head coach or the quarterback, the offense, you name it. And they were a drop away from being 3-1, and we were overreacting. And are we doing the same thing with the Philadelphia Phillies right now? And it's not only negative. You know, we tend to overreact sometimes positively as well. You know, we're probably overreacting to Edmundo Sosa right now. But one of the areas where I'm not so sure we're overreacting is the bullpen. And I want to get to it, but I know a lot of people have weighed in on the text board about this overreacting to early season takeaways. What do we got on the text board, Sean?
All right, first up, we have Joe from Boston says, to have been worried about the Eagles after 4 games was reasonable. That represented almost a quarter of the season. 11 Phillies games is less than 7% of the season. Not reasonable to worry quite yet.
It's a good point. What was his name, Joe?
Yeah, Joe from Boston.
Yeah, it is a really good point because, but see, here's where I disagree to an extent. It's a good point because the best part about the NFL is there's only 17 games, so every game matters. So when you look at the 4 games, but they were a drop away from being 3-1. So you had a 3-1 football team that had gone through an offensive coordinator change, a defensive coordinator change, new personnel on both sides of the football, and they were literally a drop away from being 3-1, and there were people calling for the head coach to be fired, people like me saying the defense hasn't gotten any better. So, yes, it was a bigger part of the season, but we probably were overreacting a little bit. I mean, in hindsight now, we all were overreacting, weren't we, Ray?
They were a 2-2 team that if you had an overzealous referee called offensive pass interference, they might have been 1-3. You can slice this up any way you want it, Colarulo.
You probably can. You probably can. By the way, you just talked about an overzealous ref. A little bit later on in the show, I was reading an article. A lot of people complain that referees, there's no accountability. Well, maybe there is. I'll get into that a little bit later on in the show. What else we got on the text board, Sean?
Next up, we have Edwin checking in. Says, we do tend to focus on the negatives with our teams and gloss over the positives. I get it. We want to have as close to the most perfect team ever, but we have unrealistic expectations how a team should be. It's not always going to be smooth sailing, and it's fine to be frustrated, but also, if you have a team that's really good, celebrate the team and enjoy the ride. Sports are supposed to be an escape from reality.
Lot of good points in there. See, but when he talks about enjoying the ride, I know sometimes that we do focus on the negative, but I also think what the best part about sports, and especially a long season like a baseball season, is that you can have these conversations. Like, you can look at various things that are going on with the baseball team and strive for perfection. Like, even though they're a good baseball team, they were a good baseball team last year, but headed down the stretch, we were looking at, are they good enough in the outfield? Do they have enough arms in the pen? What do we think about Ranger Suarez's back injury? Like, there were things that you should have been discussing last year, and I think that's the nice part about sports. And it's certainly the good part about Sports Talk Radio is that we do discuss these things.
Oh, yeah, we absolutely discuss these things. They're talking points for us. But the push to jump to a conclusion over these things is more my issue with the overreaction. I know we got someone earlier on the chat was, well, this is why you guys do what you do. You guys, it would be a really dumb show if you didn't Well, we're not overreacting. We can react to what we see. Me telling you that this bullpen's cooked 11 games into the season would be a mistake. Me telling you this outfield is going to be the thing that sinks them 11 games into the season would be a mistake. There's things you could be frustrated about. I go back to the Dodgers. The Dodgers bullpen blew the game on Sunday, and the bottom of their order didn't give them enough. Heck, their superstar didn't give them enough over the weekend. Is it all of a sudden a question of, well, are the Dodgers even as good as we thought they were? No, because they're a good baseball team. The Phillies are a good baseball team. You are sitting here at like 8-3, like, if they were 10-1, maybe I would feel okay.
I'm not even looking at the record right now because 8-3 is such a small sample size. But you are looking at some of the areas on this team where, okay, Can that be the reason they don't get over the hump this year? You know, is Alec Boehm going to get out of this rut, this mental rut that he's in? He was 0 for 5 last night. He gets the golden sombrero last night. He's under the Mendoza line on the season. Like, you look at stuff like that, and it's, well, should we be concerned? And you bring up the bullpen, and I teased it before, and we're going to get to it coming up next. Rob Thompson was asked specifically after the game last night about Jose Ruiz and Joe Ross. Now, Jose Ruiz goes 1 1/3, gives up 2 earned runs. Joe Ross goes 1 2/3, he gives up a home run. If they're the answers in the bullpen, Ray, and you have Jordan Romano, who nobody knows what's going on now, he's unavailable because they're concerned about a dead arm this early in the season, I don't think we're overreacting to having major concerns about the bullpen. So coming up, I'm going to play that clip for you of what Rob Thompson had to say, and I'm just praying that he's trying to give some confidence to these guys in the bullpen and that he doesn't actually believe the words that are coming out of his mouth. I'll play that for you coming up next.
We want to hear from you, so text us.
Here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Talking about a lot today. We're getting in with the Phillies, the Eagles, but it's also John Madden's birthday today. Rest in peace to John Madden. But you can remember John Madden for many, many things. He was a great coach. He was a great analyst. But I remember him as the face and the name of the greatest sports video game of all time, Ray Dunn. Like, the way we would play Madden in college. This would have been Madden 02, 03, 04. I mean, we had a notebook we would keep. We would keep records in our fraternity house. Like, I mean, this was like the real deal, the way we would play Madden. I think that has to be the best sports video game of all time. But we've been getting a lot of people weighing in on our YouTube chat. If you don't know, we're live on YouTube, and we've been a long time. We're not like we just launched it last week. We've been on YouTube for a long time. So you can get in, and I think we have the best YouTube chat going. Our regulars in the chat are hilarious. So a lot of people are weighing in with their favorite video games, and you can on the text board, 610-632-0975. Favorite sports video games. What do you got, Ray?
So it's interesting. I would love a clarification for one coming up that I saw that would probably fit into my favorites. But I think if I had to go number one, for me, it's going to be NCAA 13. I was
NCAA 13?
huge NCAA guy.
See, I never played it. At that point, I was like old. I mean, I was about to have my first daughter. Like, I wasn't playing video games.
Well, 2013 for me was like the sweet spot of it. Like, that was the perfect time in my life for it. Like, I love MLB 2K13. Like, I have a a franchise that I have played way
What
too
system?
many years.
PlayStation?
Xbox 360.
Xbox
I still have my
360.
360. I have not gotten a new. Like, I didn't. Once they start bringing out other things, like I'll fire up NCAA 13 and I'll go back to my North Texas Dynasty mode, and it's wonderful. I loved NCAA 13 to start as a coach, as like a coordinator at one school, work my way up to go through the coaching carousel, do my recruiting, get my own program, build up that program, jump to a bigger
You still playing
school.
it? You still use this?
I haven't in a while. I used to, like before I was in this time slot, like when I was working at the station but doing like a lot of evenings, weekend stuff, like during the week.
You had more time.
When everyone was working, but when my roommates were working and like my friends, like normal people were working and I like would be working at night, I absolutely at like 11 o'clock on a Wednesday would be like, all right, you know what? Time to fire up NCAA and kill 3 hours of the day because I don't have to go in until I do Sixers highlights tonight. Like, I don't have to be at the station till 5 o'clock tonight. So
I wish I still had a system, man. I haven't owned a system since PS2, I think, may have been the last one. But we'll continue this conversation because this is always fun when you get people's favorite video games. A lot of people weighing in on the YouTube chat with the early NHL ones, like NHL 94. MIL 2K11 just put up. NHL 94, for me, that like changed everything. NHL 94 I was obsessed with as an 11-year-old kid. But we'll get back to that conversation because I want to get back to what we were talking about with the Phillies and do we tend to overreact to early happenings in seasons. And one area where I do not think that we are overreacting, even though the Phillies are out to an 8-3 start, and even though we tend to focus sometimes on the negatives too much, I don't think we are overreacting to what's going on in that bullpen. And you saw it again last night with Joe Ross and Jose Ruiz coming out and both of them giving up runs. And then Alvarado has to come out and get that 2-inning save where he comes in the 8th and then he's able to close it down in the 9th. But it wasn't pretty, but he got it done. He throws 30 pitches. But Ray sent me a headline this morning that I think is going to scare a lot of Phillies fans. Here's the headline on The Athletic. Phillies might have bullpen issues 2 weeks into the season, but they have Jose Alvarado. Now, as I like to say, they're not wrong. Alvarado has been good to start the year, but he's going to give you a heart attack every time he comes out onto the mound. But he shuts it down last night. Great job. He actually gets the win last night, doesn't he, Alvarado? Or does he get the save?
I believe he got the win last
I think he got the win.
Yeah.
So Alvarado gets the win because he came in the 8th, and then Turner hits the home run in the 9th. But this is what Rob Thompson had to say about Jose Ruiz and Joe Ross, and I'm hoping he's just trying to breathe some confidence into the bullpen. He doesn't actually believe this. Listen to Rob Thompson.
Feel comfortable with it, you know. Like I said, Ruiz is throwing the ball well. And then he gave up a run tonight? 2 runs, 2 walks. Yeah, that was the killer for him. Leadoff walk. But, you know, I trust those guys. I have confidence in those guys.
So that was Rob Thompson postgame. So, listen, I've actually really like the way Rob Thompson has managed this baseball team to start, and he's got to be, Ray, just trying to give some confidence. Because at this point, you're not changing the personnel, but for him to come out and be like, yeah, I feel pretty comfortable with those guys. Ruiz, pretty good night. What did he give up? 1 run? No. He gave up 2 earned, and he walked 2, and his ERA's up to a 7.36. You don't think he actually believes what he's saying right there? He doesn't trust these guys.
I'm curious. When Sirianni says, I believe in the third string offensive tackle,
don't make this about my man.
No, because you just love it. You lap it up when Sirianni's, our practice squad 15th guy is someone we really value here.
Listen,
hell yeah.
I think Rob Thompson should say these things. I'm not taking a shot at Rob Thompson. I think he should. He has to. It's not his fault. The personnel that he was dealt.
So you think Sirianni's lying to us when he says he believes in X player on his
I'm
team?
sure he is. Yeah, I'm sure. Look, it's coach speak. It's coach speak. You're not going to come out. I didn't expect Rob Thompson to come out and be like, yeah, bullpen's a mess. Ruiz, can't trust him. Ross, who knows what the hell he's doing. Romano, yeah, I'm afraid that he's shot, and that was a terrible signing by Dave Dombrowski.
He kind of did, Thompson gave you as close to saying, I'm concerned about him being shot as you could the other day when he said he was concerned about him. Rob Thompson doesn't show much concern. When he says he's concerned about someone, that's like a red alarm for you. He said these things. I do believe he believes some of this. I think Jose Ruiz, at the end of last season, I think he truly believed that he was someone that he could build with. Joe Ross, they brought in, and you're not just going to bail on him because he allowed 1 earned run against the Braves. What was it, Austin Riley that hit a home run off him? It's not exactly like he had, I'm trying to think of my film. It's not like Cody Ashe came in and knocked one off of him. Sorry, just a ricochet shot.
Yeah, what are you doing? What's he catching a stray for?
I was going through third base in my head that I'd be concerned if my guy gave up a home run to. To me, and that's a hitting coach now for the Orioles, Cody Ashe, in the Orioles system now. There's some Cody Ashe.
Look at that little fun fact from Ray.
But I don't think he's bailing out on Joe Ross. I don't think he's bailing out on Jose Ruiz. He needs to trust them. I think he does have a level of trust in those guys for the bulk roles that they played. Last night, you laid it out yesterday on the show going into the game. They needed guys to cover outs. They needed, after all the pitches that were thrown the night before and the way the bullpen performed that night, they needed guys to cover outs. And they weren't going to go back to Romano. So they needed guys to get you from 4 2/3 to the conclusion of that baseball game. That's why all of the relievers pitched over an inning's worth of work. If it comes to October and we're still talking about Jose Ruiz having to take down 2 innings in a game and Joe Ross having to take down 2 innings in a game and Alvarado having to come in, throw 2 pitches, sit down, and get back up, we're probably in trouble. Ultimately, they needed the offense to bail them out. They did. And I don't know, are we going to talk about how maybe we overrated the Braves bullpen because the Braves bullpen allowed 4 earned runs in this game?
Yeah, I know that we tend to hyper-focus on our teams, but that's what we do, right? I mean, we're Philadelphia Sports Talk Radio, and we're going to look at the Philadelphia teams, and we're going to analyze their areas of weakness.
I understand
but
that.
I don't think that when we talk about do we overreact to early season takeaways, I don't think that we're overreacting to having major concerns about the bullpen. You agree with that, at least? Yesterday, they asked us, Brandon, who does our Instagram.
I said 4, and I thought, maybe I'm getting a little too nervous too early here.
Yeah, so he asked us, on a scale of 1 to 10, and this was before yesterday's game, on a scale of 1 to 10, how concerned are you about the bullpen? Ray said a 4, and I went with a 7. And the reason me and you did it for different reasons. You thought maybe you were going too high of a score. I, with the 7, thought maybe I'm going too low because my concerns are even higher than that. But the reason I said 7 was there's still time for them to figure it out, but with other personnel. I don't look at the bullpen as just early season struggles. You could look at some of the hitters. He's just in a slump. If a guy doesn't have it in the bullpen, is he ever going to find it? If Jordan Romano is just not the same guy he was before the injury, what leads us to believe that we have confidence that he's going to find it?
All right, take Romano away for a second, though. Does that apply to the whole bullpen, that you can't find it? If Romano's velocity's down, yeah, we're in a tough spot with him. We're in a terrible spot with him. The other guys, it's just about finding the arm slot, find the rhythm. This is early on in this season. They can find they can find command. If their velocity's there and the pitchers are there, they're just not executing at a high level yet. They got to get used to it. Ross has to get used to working with these catchers. Ruiz, late in the season, I thought was a lot better than he was early in the season last year. Maybe it's about him finding a little bit of a rhythm. And yeah, you said it. There's probably going to be different personnel. That's a problem from Dabrowski's bullpen building from me, the offseason. I feel like he's done a number of underwhelming offseason bullpen signings with the thought of, we could just trade for someone. That's a conversation for a different day.
Yeah, and during the break, I'm going to call out our producer today, Sean Rodman. He said to me, he goes, I have an answer for the bullpen. And I don't know if he was just saying this tongue-in-cheek or not. He says, Aaron Nola.
Whoa. That's not what I said.
That's what you said.
No, I got a text on that.
Oh, I thought that was your opinion.
No.
Now that would be a massive overreaction, wouldn't it, Sean?
Yes.
Aaron Nola to the pen, stop. There's been way too much overreaction to Aaron Nola. I agree that sometimes we do overreact in the negative. But I don't want this show to become a Bohm bashing every single day. But coming up next, yeah, we're going to have a little Bohm bashing because what we saw last night from Alec Bohm was just more of the same. And is there a way that he can get out of this rut? So coming up, we'll hear from Rob Thompson on Alec Bohm's struggles. Is it time that we move him out of the cleanup spot, at least move him down in the lineup? We're going to talk about that. We want to hear from you, 610-632-0975. Are you overreacting to early season takeaways, or is this just what makes being a fan? We'll be right back.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phillies even the series. I'm Sean Rodman, and this is your Fanatic Sports Update. Phillies win it late thanks to a home run in the top of the ninth from Trey Turner. Taiwan Walker went 4 2/3 scoreless innings. He allowed 5 hits and 3 walks in his start. And in 2 starts so far, Walker has not allowed a run. Phillies look to take the rubber match tonight in Atlanta. Jesus Luzardo is on the mound for the Phillies, and Spencer Schwellenbach for the Braves. First pitch is at 7:15. The NFL Draft is now 2 weeks away. Andrew DeCecco will host a draft special tonight right here on 97.5 The Fanatic at 6 p.m. Sixers have officially announced that Tyrese Maxey is done for the season. He will miss the remaining 2 games. Sixers beat the Wizards on the road last night. The team is currently has the 5th best lottery odds, and the win last night did not impact the Sixers' lottery standings. This update is brought to you by AAA Car Care. Save $84 on select sets for Nokian tires, at AAA Car Care Centers. Offers ends April 15th. Details at AAA.com/mycar. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Hour here on 97.5 The Fanatic. A lot to talk about today. Fighting Phil's 8-3 after another, dare I say, dominant performance by Taiwan Walker. All right, maybe not dominant.
Jeez, man. All right, you need
Maybe
take
not
a deep
dominant.
breath or something.
But when you compare what he's done to start the season to what we thought he would do, I think you could use the word dominant. Because we were literally, and this was me, but we were literally saying on that business person special that Walker started, game's at 1 o'clock, we get off the air at 2. How many runs is he going to give up by 2 o'clock? Well, not only did he go 0 earned runs in that start, he goes 0 earned runs last night. So I don't want to overreact, but Taiwan's already given you more than I thought he would, and really all you needed to get from him to hold down the fort until hopefully Ranger Suarez comes back, who started his rehab assignment, right, Ray? He started that the other day?
He's beginning it. I don't know, did it already start? I saw the news that he was getting out there, but I did not. Let's see. Starting Thursday. So what's Thursday?
Thursday's today.
Oh, how about that? He's supposed to throw in it. No, he's going to skip that. Simulate. His rehab assignment start Thursday in Clearwater. So that's today in Clearwater.
All right, so that's good. So hopefully Suarez will be back sooner rather than later.
How
And
about this for a weekend in Clearwater? Suarez today, Painter tomorrow.
wow.
This was fun doing the show with you. I got a flight to
Yeah,
catch.
you're
I'm
not
gonna go
kidding.
down there and watch that.
So as long as Taiwan continues to give you decent starts, and we don't expect him to go 0 earned every single week, but as long as he gives you decent starts until Ranger comes up, and then hopefully Andrew Painter comes up in June or July, and then that could trickle into the bullpen, because come October, if the Phillies are there, you don't need 5 starters. So now you have the options. Can Ranger go to the pen? Can maybe Andrew Painter go to the pen? You're going to have some options. And tonight on the mound, we got Jesus Luzardo, who looks like a stud.
Oh, wait a second. You're going to have options in the pen come later in the season that might actually already internally be in the organization?
You may, yes. But there's still concerns, Ray. I don't think we're overreacting to these concerns, because we also have to assume that Ranger comes back and he's healthy. You got to assume that Andrew Painter is healthy and can pitch at the major league level, which we all assume he can, but those are assumptions, man. You know what they say about assuming?
Yeah, that's right, man. You got to assume that Nolan Smith's going to take a step up. You got to assume that Zach Bond could be an off-ball linebacker. You got to assume that they're going to get the most out of Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. They got to assume
And that
you're
all
gonna
happened.
get something.
And but was that likely or unlikely that all that would happen?
It was unlikely,
Yeah,
for sure.
but it all happened. So you got to hope that it happens here too. But
yeah, I also, you assume Devin White's going to get back to his form.
And that didn't work.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and that you brought it up to start the show, and I thought it was a very good question to pose with the way people have reacted to an 8-3 start to the Phillies as compared to the way people reacted at the beginning of the Eagles season. You could get concerned, get upset. You hold them to a high standard. You should. We have expectations. But do we let ourselves get too emotional too early? I think we do. That's what I'm trying to point out to you, Bill. You're getting a little emotional. Honestly, I'm just trying to calm you down. All right? I'm here for you.
I appreciate
I worry
that.
about you, Bill. You got a lot going on. The kids, the new baby,
I know you care about me, Ray. And I want
Not like that.
I want to let everybody know you're listening to the Mike Missinelli Show on WPEN and WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station. We're broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. And, yeah, Ray just brought up kind of the topic we have for today's show is, are we overreacting? Do we get too caught up in the early happenings of a season? Or is this just the best part about being a fan? I think it's the best part about being a fan is that you do live and die with the team. You do live and die with the ups and downs. And I don't want to focus on the negatives. We will get to some positives in a little bit, because I think Trey Turner has been a massive positive to start the season. But we got to talk about Alec Bohm, man. We got to talk about Alec Bohm. And I was talking to my dad last night about the show yesterday, and he goes, man, I just hope you never run into Alec Bohm at a bar, because I was very critical of Alec Bohm. But I can't take it anymore, man. I can't take it. I can't take the attitude. And now you accompany the attitude with these ridiculous early season struggles. He goes 0 for 5 last night. He strikes out 4 times. You saw him jawing at the umpire after because he disagreed with the call. It's like Groundhog's Day every day now with Alec Bohm and Alec Bohm. And he's batting cleanup. He should not be in the cleanup spot right now. He's struggling. Move him down in the lineup. I'm not suggesting that you put him on the bench. I'm not suggesting that Edmundo Sosa becomes an everyday third baseman. I've seen people say that, and I think that would be an overreaction. But I do think you move him down in the lineup. But after the game last night, Thompson was asked about Alec Bohm and his struggles. This is what Rob Thompson had to say.
He's thinking about it, yeah, but he'll get out of it. I mean, this guy was the all-star third baseman last year in the National League, so I'm not going to pull a shoot on him yet, despite what everybody says. So I have a lot of trust in him.
So he's not going to pull the shoot on him yet, despite what everybody says. And he's talking about Alec Boehm. I don't think moving him down in the lineup is pulling the shoot, Ray. I think you move him out of the cleanup spot, and I would do it as soon as tonight.
So I thought about this yesterday after the show because we had this conversation, and I don't think I'm opposed to putting Castellanos in that cleanup spot at this point because of what you've seen from Boehm. So I want to start with that. But just because at this point I feel like I'm almost with your father on this one, that I'm kind of concerned. Like if Boehm saw you out at a bar, I think he'd be livid with you because this has become just your bashing session for Boehm. I don't.
But am I off base? Like it's not like I'm just picking on him to pick on him.
You're not off base. And I'll steal your phrasing from Mike here. You're not wrong, but to look at this a different way, to bring a little balance to this conversation, since it has gotten very one-sided in this city on him, and understandably so. I have my frustrations with the guy as well. But like last night, where the ball goes off his glove, I think he's a little unlucky on that one. Like, he's diving to try and make a play. He's not a great fielder. Anyone that keeps describing him as an above-average fielder is wrong. Like, that. At best, he's
worked on it. He's worked on it. He's gotten better. I give him credit for that. Yeah.
But he's gotten better from being a bad fielder. So there's been improvement, but improvement not to the level of being a star fielder. The one thing I will say about him so far this season is I'm very interested to see if he performs up to his expected numbers through the next couple weeks. Because if you look through these first 11 games and you go underlying numbers, underlying metrics, the hard hit percentage is pretty good. The average exit velo for him is pretty good. If you want to be an expected batting average guy, that's right now over 300. Like it hasn't happened for him yet. Some of these balls that he's hit, from those first pitch swinging, have been line drives right at someone, and it's just part of the unluckiness of baseball. How he mentally deals with that, last night's not a great case study for it because of the strikeouts. It's like, okay, now you see like you're really in your head. And that might be your best argument for not moving him in the lineup, because if he drops in the lineup, what does that do to him mentally? Should we have to have that conversation about a guy in the big leagues, about a guy who's 20?
Yeah, that is what annoys me right there.
No.
What is that going to do to him mentally? Poor Alec Boehm. Oh, if you move him down in the lineup, he's going to sulk even more. Like, this is why I'm not just picking on the guy. This is the problem that I have. We shouldn't have to worry about a professional athlete like that. He should be okay with Rob Thompson saying to him, listen, you're not hitting right now, you're struggling, we're going to move you down in the lineup. And even if you only flip-flop him with Casty,
okay,
put him in the sixth spot. But let Casty hit cleanup. Your
whole argument, right, with Stott, hey, I want to see Stott more, I want to see Stott get the opportunity to be an everyday guy, is like, I think it's in him. So if you still think that the Boehm that exists in there that the Phillies need is inside and is somewhere within Alec Boehm, leaving him in the cleanup spot so we don't have to deal with the mental side of things, for you for a couple days is not the worst possible thing in the world. Like, it's the same argument you use about, hey, we got to figure out what we have with Stott. We have to figure out what we have with Marsh, with Kepler. If you really believe in that philosophy of figuring out what you have, you should also allow the guy to figure himself out of a slump, figure him out of early season struggles. If Thompson makes the switch today, I'm not going to sit here and say, wow, what a catastrophic mistake. He's going to lose him mentally, because I think we all know right now where Boehm is at in terms of the slumping, the attitude, all those things. But I think the other side of this argument, the other side of the, I guess I don't want to call it Boehm support, because again, I'm not really, like, I'm frustrated with the guy too. I'm just trying to level off a conversation where it seems like you have gone to the extreme against Boehm, and it's not just you, it's the city, I feel, has already went to that way. If your argument for baseball is, hey, it's a long season, we want to figure things out, giving him a couple days to see if, hey, he's going to actually perform to his underlying metrics so far this season, maybe you don't move him out of that cleanup spot just to see if he can get himself right and get himself out of it. Because, again, it's 11 games. I don't like the attitude. I'm not excusing the attitude. But I'm telling you, there is still talent and there's still skill there as a baseball player that you need to extract out of him to put this team where it needs to be come the end of the season.
Well said, Ray, but I disagree. I think the guy can figure it out lower in the lineup. I just don't think he needs to be your cleanup hitter. I mean, look, we could go all the way back to, and I know they're an 8-3 team. I wouldn't have anybody in the cleanup spot outside of Kyle Schwarber. I would go with the same lineup they like to use against lefties. I'd have Turner leading off. I would have Harper hitting second. You'd have to figure out who your 3 spot is because Alec Boehm is struggling. Yep, but I'd have Schwarber cleaning up. I would not have Alec Boehm as your cleanup hitter regardless.
So to be clear, in a lineup where you bat Boehm third, or someone Casty third, any right-handed bat third, that person's getting more at bats than Kyle Schwarber. More plate appearances.
Yeah, well, that's the argument of why you keep Schwarber in the leadoff spot. I get that other side of the argument. I just, with the way Turner is playing right now, too, and with the discipline he's had at the plate, and we talk about overreacting to early season takeaways, are we overreacting to the job that Turner's done at the plate? Because he's done a pretty damn good job. And in fact, coming up next, we're going to hear from Rob Thompson on how good Trey Turner's looked, because he has another walk last night. His OBP is now close to 400 on the season. Is this sustainable for Trey Turner? We'll hear from Rob Thompson coming up next.
Andrew Salciunas.
I can't kind of make some proclamation.
Happy Masters Day to all who celebrate. A lot of people are excited. I was getting texts all morning from people saying, outside of Bill, who else isn't getting anything done at work today? Because they're all just sitting around watching the Masters. We don't have that luxury. Actually, we could turn it on in here. Right?
Oh, yeah. We don't live a life of luxury.
I know. Trust me, I am not complaining. I know every day I come here, we are living the dream, man, getting to talk about Philadelphia sports. And that's kind of what the topic is today. Kind of the best part about being a fan is analyzing the sport, analyzing the team. You look at the positives, you look at the negatives, you look at areas of weakness. Now, Ray and I went back and forth talking about different topics for today, and we were saying, well, do we overreact, though, to early season takeaways? And I don't know if it's an overreaction. I think sometimes it is, and we gave the example from the Philadelphia Eagles last year that a lot of people were overreacting to a 2-2 football team. And are we doing the same thing with the Philadelphia Phillies, even though they're 8-3? But, Ray, it's not always in the negative. Like, I know that we've been discussing the bullpen, and we've been discussing Alec Boehm, and maybe I'm being a little too hard on Alec, and I got to tell him, it's okay, you're just a kid, as Ray likes to call him and Bryce likes to call him. It's okay.
No, stop
we
it.
Love,
See, now
we love that kid.
This is what you do. You're trying to put words over here that are not over here. I never said that I love calling him a kid. I said that you are ridiculous for losing your mind over Harper calling him a kid.
I didn't lose my mind. I just thought that it was relevant that when you're talking about a guy who's going to be 29 in August, a guy that we want to stop referring to as the daycare, and a guy that we want to grow up with his personality, that Bryce Harper's words that were used were, we love that kid. I just thought that was important. It all matters. He's not a kid. Stop treating him like a kid. And Alec needs to look in the mirror and realize I'm a man, and I need to grow up a little bit. And hopefully, if he changes his personality a little bit and the way he sulks, it'll help him at the plate so he doesn't go 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts last night. But I don't want to focus on the negatives all day, Ray, because I saw Dave in our YouTube chat, who's here every day, saying, hey, you guys know that the Phillies won last night, right?
They're 8-3. Dave, I've been trying to tell him that all day. He's not listening to me.
They're 8-3. Bryce Harper with a huge 2-run home run last night after they go down 2-1. Big hit. I believe somebody on the show yesterday did call a Bryce Harper home run.
You did, right after you said they get swept.
I thought they were going to lose the game, but I thought Bryce Harper...
No, you thought they were going to get swept. Not just lose last night. You thought this series was going to go down as a sweep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Oh.
So I was
Billy
wrong
Baseball!
there. I was wrong there,
Billy
but
Baseball!
Billy Baseball did predict the Bryce Harper home run.
Bill, you were right all along.
It's my favorite drop right there. But I don't want to only focus on the negatives because Trey Turner, to start the season, has looked really good at the plate. He's been disciplined. He gets another walk last night. His OBP is up to 395, which is tremendous. And he hits that home run in the 9th inning last night to give the Phillies the lead, and then Alvarado shuts it down in the bottom of the 9th and actually gets the win. But the plate discipline that we've seen from Trey Turner to start the year, are we overreacting to that? Is that something that is sustainable? Well, Rob Thompson was asked post-game last night about Trey Turner and how good he's been at the plate. This was Rob.
Yeah, I think he's done a great job controlling the strike zone. I thought he got out of it down in the zone a little bit tonight. That kid's Holmes breaking ball's really good. It was really sharp and light. The guy's having trouble picking it up, but for the most part, I think he's been great.
So that was Rob Thompson on Trey Turner. Now, Ray, overreacting. Are we overreacting to what we've seen from Trey Turner, or do you think this is something that is sustainable? Because he has had very high OBPs in the past, not necessarily here as much. I mean, last year, looking at his numbers, or I had his numbers up.
I just want to react to the absurdity of Rob Thompson as a man referring to 29-year-old Grant Holmes as a kid.
Oh,
how disrespectful that must be to refer to the Braves pitcher who's a big leaguer and calling him a kid.
Good pull, Ray. Good pull. Oh, yeah, I'm looking at Trey Turner's numbers, though. The last time he had an OBP close to 395 was in the shortened COVID year.
Yeah.
At 394.
It's not happening as a 395.
Yeah, I don't think that's sustainable.
Also, listen, I'm hopeful that we're going to get the Trey Turner that we all expected and that we all wanted. It was a beautiful home run last night. Obviously, the numbers look good in terms of his OPS so far this season. let's also hold judgment to say it's all the way back here. The man's average exit velo this year is 5th percentile, which not great. The chase rate for him is still 30%. There are still things to look at and say, yeah, Trey Turner's had a nice start to the season. Sustainability for him to do this at the way he's doing it right now. If you're an optimist, you're like, wow, Trey has put together some numbers already this season that the underlying metrics would suggest he shouldn't. The pessimist in you would say was, hey, man, how many times are you going to get fooled by this? Is he closer to the guy you saw towards the end of last season instead of the guy you saw to start last season? I tend to go more optimist, where I think there's more in him, where I think you can get a season where he's hitting like 290 and he has like a 340 OBP. I think that's still in him, and I think last night's a nice example. If he starts to find his rhythm and he starts to make pitchers pay, you're in a good spot. And you look up and he had 4 stolen bases this week, in the past week. He's starting to do more on the base paths. Maybe he's starting to get comfortable at the plate. But I'm not going to buy this is the Trey Turner you paid for after 11 games.
But this is exactly what you thought you were getting. Like his last season with the Dodgers in 2022, and you just kind of hit it on the head saying he could be a 290 hitter with a 340 OBP. He hit 298 in his last season with the Dodgers in 2022. His OBP was 343. He had 27 stolen bases that year, 21 home runs, 100 RBIs. This is the version of Trey that they paid all that money for. This is the version of Trey that everyone who stood on their feet to give him that standing ovation was hoping that he could be. And I get you're right. It's only been 9 games for Trey because he misses those couple games early with the back. Right. But it's been a very good start to the season. And he had a good start last year before he got hurt. If that hamstring doesn't happen, who knows the season he has? I mean, I know he finishes at 295, but his splits weren't great when you look at his second half of the season. But could this be the version of Trey they thought they were paying for? Is that an overreaction to what we're seeing early in the season? Or do you believe, and I'm asking the people out there, and you can hit us up on the text board, do you believe that this could be a sign that this is the Trey Turner that we thought we were getting when we gave him that massive contract? And you could weigh in 610-632-0975. The other question on the table today was, since it's John Madden's birthday, the best sports video game of all time. And I know the text board is humming with people's favorite sports video games. I said mine was Madden. I would probably say Madden 2004 was when I thought it was at its pinnacle for me. Ray, what was yours again?
NCAA 13.
NCAA 13. When we get back, we'll get some others on the text board. But when we throw out that topic to start the show about us kind of getting caught up in early takeaways, I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about everybody's favorite football coach, Nick Sirianni, because when you talk about early takeaways, his first press conference was a disaster. And then you look at the way the season started last year, there were people who wanted him fired at the bye week. And now what we're discussing is, when's the extension going to come? And if so, how many years? How much money? So Jeffrey Lurie weighed in on this at the owners' meeting, and Adam Schefter, who joins our morning show once a week, weighed in on what the terms could look like. So I want to toss that around a little bit. What would you give Nick Sirianni? How many years would you trust the coach that just won the Super Bowl but also was teetering at the bye week in Week 5? We're going to talk about that coming up next.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phillies even the series. I'm Sean Rodman, and this update is brought to you by Natural Lawn of America. Get free spending every year. Call 800-FREE-SEED now. Phillies win it late thanks to a home run in the top of the 9th from Trey Turner. Taiwan Walker went 4 2/3 scoreless innings, and he allowed only 5 hits and 3 walks. In his 2 starts so far, Walker has not allowed a run. Phillies took care of business yesterday, and they'll be in a rubber match tonight in Atlanta. Jesus Luzardo is on the mound for the Phillies, and Spencer Schwellenbach for the Braves. First pitch is at 7:15. The NFL Draft is now 2 weeks away. Andrew DeCecca will host a draft special tonight right here on 97.5 The Fanatic at 6 p.m. Sixers have officially announced that Tyrese Maxey is done for the season. He will miss the remaining 2 games. Sixers beat the Wizards on the road last night. The team currently has the 5th best lottery odds. And this update is also brought to you by Wendy's $5 Biggie bag. The Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag is the best deal in fast food for a lot of reasons, some of which include a JBC, a 4-piece nuggets, a junior fries, and small soft drinks. For the best deal of all time, gotta be Wendy's. U.S. price and participation may vary. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Ricky Metallico.
The way in, everybody. Talking about the Phillies. Big win last night against the Atlanta Braves with Taiwan Walker on the mound. They're now 8-3. They're back at it tonight. Look to see who can win the series. I think the Phillies already did their job, though. I mean, I'd like to see them win tonight, but as long as you didn't get swept by the Braves, I was going to be okay with it. But I want to tell you about our deal of the week, because our Fanatic deals of the week are always extremely good. I know Ray Dunn's probably buying this one. But right now, you can get a $50 voucher to Broad Street Brewing in Bristol for just $25. It's basically free money. You're getting $25 in free money to Broad Street Brewing. And Broad Street Brewing celebrates Philly's vibrant culture and rich history with expertly crafted beer that pays tribute to the spirit of Philadelphia. You can get this exclusive offer while supplies last at 975thefanatic.com/deals. Yeah, our Fanatic deal of the week are always good. But we were talking about the Phillies, and one of the things that we were talking about was if we overreact to early season takeaways, which what a lot of people, including myself, are probably doing right now with the Phillies. But I think that's what makes sports so great. But we're going to detour a little bit and get into the Eagles, because we keep waiting on this Nick Sirianni contract extension. We keep waiting for it to happen, and we haven't got news yet. I would have thought this would have happened long before the draft, and now we're 2 weeks from the draft. So at the owners' meeting a couple weeks ago, Jeffrey Lurie was specifically asked about Nick Sirianni's extension, and this is what Jeffrey Lurie had to say.
Nick's going to be our coach, and we don't talk publicly, never have. You guys, I'm sure, will find out soon enough when Nick will be our coach going forward, and he's done an outstanding job. When we were 2-2, right? We then proceeded to win, correct me if I'm wrong, we went 16-1 after that. 16-1, and the one was when Jalen Hurts, we were winning the game, got a concussion. So it's not easy to go 16-1 in the National Football League, 4 of which are against playoff teams, one of which Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So outstanding job. Everything that I had hoped for with Nick, he embodies, whether it's connection, intelligence in so many ways, from football intelligence, emotional intelligence, managing of people, hiring of assistant coaches, growth mindset at all times. It's one of the reasons Howie is so good. Incredible growth mindset. Neither are risk averse. These are all the things that we embody, appreciates, and is a big contributor to the culture we have. Everything that, I had hoped for early on, identifying Nick as the next head coach, has come to pass, and great to work with.
All right, so that was Jeffrey Lurie at the owners' meeting, and clearly they're going to give Nick Sirianni this extension, but that kind of falls right in line with the topic that we're talking about is, do we overreact to early takeaways? Because we were talking about it when it came to the Phillies season. But you look at Nick Sirianni, we definitely overreacted to his first press conference. I mean, a lot of people were overreacting to that because it was a terrible press conference. And then we overreacted probably after the Flower speech. Then they went on to make the playoffs that year. And we certainly overreacted to what Jeffrey Lurie was just talking about, that 2-2 start, and then they go on to be 16-1 the rest of the way, when at the bye week we were overreacting to everything, from the offense, the defense, the head coach, everything. So he's going to get the extension. I think we all agree on that, because his current deal is set to expire after this season. They're not going to bring him back as a lame duck. But he signed a 5-year, $35 million deal. That's what it was reported. So that's $7 million annually.
Your cut was what?
I wish, man. But Adam Schefter, who joins Kincade and Salciunas every Wednesday, I believe, was on last week, and he was asked by Andrew and John, what could Sirianni's contract extension look like? And I was a little surprised, I know Ray was too, by the number. Listen to Adam Schefter.
Well, it's going into the last year, right? So John Harbaugh had 1 year left, and the deal went through 28, so 25, 26. My guess is they would tack on 3 more years, is my guess.
So they would tack on 3 more years. So that would mean that Nick Sirianni would be the head coach for 4 more seasons. So a couple of questions for the listeners, if you want to weigh in, 610-632-0975, and for you, Ray. You gave Sirianni a 5-year deal when he had absolutely zero experience as a head coach, and you didn't know what you were getting. Now he has 4 playoff appearances, 2 Super Bowl appearances, and a Super Bowl victory, and you're only going to give him a 3-year extension? Doesn't that seem like a little light?
Oh, yeah. And I know this is wild coming from me, but I would be insulted, personally, if they only gave him 3 years. They at least have to give him 4 to match the length of the original contract. Like I don't think there's any other world than giving him this season plus 4 more to get to the 5 years that he originally got. He's proven you correct. And you talk about winning and winning big and all those wonderful things that Jeffrey Lurie does. If you spend the cash on this guy, and hey, I know you just came into some cash with selling off some of the team, you pay this guy, you keep this guy here. If you believe, I mean, that soliloquy he went on for like 70, 80 seconds sounded like it was the talking points that you get forwarded in the group chat every time that you guys need to pump up Sirianni. Like, he obviously loves the guy, and if you believe everything that you're saying about the guy, he's already accomplished more than anyone else has. As an Eagles coach, he won a Super Bowl and went to a Super Bowl. There's no other coach that can say they've done both those things. Doug Peterson won one, never got back to another. Andy Reid went to one, never won one. Dick Vermeil went to one. Like, you go through this whole list, and like, unless you're taking me back to the 40s and 1960 and all that, like, the success he's had, you can't deny it. He's doing something right. Will I ever be able to put my finger on exactly what that is? Maybe not. But with what he did this year, you have to reward him with the contract that he deserves. You thought, like, they gave Saquon Barkley all that money to extend a contract that had 2 years left on it for a running back, for a position that, you might actually see someone break down. He's a coach. You got to go give him the money now. You have to reward him for what he's done.
So when you talk about rewarding him for what he's done, our buddy Booney from NBC Sports Philadelphia, Dan Roach, wrote a really good article back on April 3rd looking at the reported contracts of the other top-paid coaches in the NFL. So when you say pay him like he deserves to be paid, let's look at some of these numbers. And this maybe could affect the amount of years that Lurie wants to give him. Because when Lurie gave him 5 years, they were only paying him $7 million, right? A year. Andy Reid makes $20 million a year. He's not getting Andy Reid money. Sean Payton makes $18 million a year. Sean Payton, great coach, won Super Bowl, I believe.
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin makes $16 million a year. Jim Harbaugh makes $16 million a year. Jim Harbaugh's never won a Super Bowl, right? He's been to one. Mm-hmm. Never won a Super Bowl. Great coach. Mike Tomlin, it's been a while.
Yeah, but you paid for Jim Harbaugh to leave Michigan. That's
Correct. Correct. But Dan Roach, who's listening to the show right now, who wrote the article, he just texted me. So he's predicting 4-year extension, so that's 5 seasons, and a minimum of $16 million a year, which would make him tied for the 3rd highest paid coach in the NFL. I don't disagree with Booney, and I, in fact, love Nick Sirianni, as I'm accused of, but I will say this, Ray. We are talking about a head coach that at the bye week needed to be called in to the owner's office and said, hey, calm it down a little bit, right? So even though he won a Super Bowl, could Jeffrey Lurie be a little reluctant to say, I'm going to lock you in for 5 years at $16 million a year? Because if things don't work out, let's say year 3, and they'd have to make a move, which I'm not predicting, now you're talking about eating $32 million? It's a little bit different. So would you be willing to give him 5 years, $16 million a year?
See, Lurie can't take the long road here with, we're building with the thought of 3 years down the future following this Super Bowl instead of the first time around and not secure his guy long term. Like, to me, that's doing an injustice on a coach when you're talking as an organization of, hey, we're saving money now. We're not giving out contracts now because we got to build long term. We got a young core. We're going to compete for a while. Well, guess what? The guy that took that young core to a Super Bowl as the head coach, you got to lock him in long term too. And by the way, to what Booney checks in, sign right here on the line.
You would take it.
Yeah.
So you extend them for 4. That's 5 more seasons of Nick Sirianni and $16 million per. Now, I'm with you. I would do that. Shocker to everybody, right? Shocker.
I was more shocked that I'm this adamant about it.
Shocker that Bill Sirianni would do it. But I am curious what our listeners feel about this, because we know that there are still people out there who tolerate Nick but don't necessarily love or trust the Super Bowl winning coach. Would you be willing to do what was just proposed by Booney? Ray said he would sign right away. Would you give Nick Sirianni 4-year extension, which means he's your coach for 5 years, and make him the 3rd highest paid coach in the NFL? Because we're going to be getting this news soon. It's got to be coming down soon. But What would you do if you were Jeffrey Lurie? 610-632-0975. You could weigh in on the phones or by text. And we're going to keep the Eagles conversation going as we talk about Nick Sirianni because the Eagles have a blueprint. It's something that Howie Roseman has followed for quite some time, and it helped them win a Super Bowl last year. And I read an article about the Eagles' blueprint and teams in the NFL being that it's a copycat league that may try to copycat the blueprint. And it made me angry at some of the teams on here that are in a position to copy what the Eagles did. I'll explain it on the other side.
Tyrone Johnson.
It's notable, not just that they...
We're going to get back to the Phillies in a second. We're talking about the Phillies and if we're overreacting to some early takeaways after only 11 games. But we started talking about Nick Sirianni's contract extension because we're still waiting for it to happen. And Jeffrey Lurie had glowing things to say. He said Nick's going to be the coach. We know the contract's coming. But then Adam Schefter, when he was on the morning show last week, he said 3 years if he had a guess. But Ray and I both think that's probably light. You're not going to give the guy only a 3-year extension when he just won the Super Bowl. So now we're throwing around some terms. And Booney, Dan Roach from NBC Sports Philadelphia, he wrote an article about this. He weighed in saying he thinks it's a 4-year extension, so you got him for 5 years. And he thinks they pay him $16 million a year, which makes him the third highest coach. And he texted me saying, you're paying him for the future and for what he's already accomplished, which no other Eagles head coach has done, which is the truth.
At this point, like, you can't really give out thank you contracts to players because you're, obviously up against the age and injury and all those things. You can give that to a head coach. It's a thank you. You did your job. You've done more now than anyone's done in Eagles history.
I agree with you. And just to play devil's advocate, because, of course, I've been a proponent of Nick's.
I'm going to push you into an anti-Sirianni agenda. Get ready.
I'm playing the devil's advocate here.
Nope.
If you're Jeffrey Lurie, I guess the issue is if you pay him $16 million a year and you got him for another 5, if after year 3 Nick's not the answer, like there are people out there, and I'm not one of them, but there are people out there, and I already saw them in the YouTube chat, Nick should give half his salary to Howie Roseman, right? There are people who say the only reason the Eagles are as good as they are is because of the personnel, and Nick's just a cheerleader. You still get that. That's a minority view at this point, but that's still out there. But if those people were proved correct and things start to go south, that's a lot of money for Lurie to eat. If after 2 seasons, look, Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl. He was gone after 2 seasons.
3.
No, I think he coached for 2 more years, didn't he?
No, he was 5 years here.
Hold on.
How much you want to put down on this?
Hold on.
How much you want to
right.
put down on this?
Let me double check here, Ray.
How much you want to put down on this?
Well, the fact that you're so confident about it, you got to learn to play poker a little bit. You could have been like, you know what? I'm not 100% sure, but let's make a bet.
No, because you still are looking it up because you still think you're going to get one over on me here. How much you want to put up on this?
You're correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're correct. So they come back in 2018. They go 9-7. That's when Alshon Jeffrey drops the ball. Oh, man, it still bothers me.
Yeah.
Then they go 9-7 again. That's when Wentz has the concussion, right, in the wild card game.
Seahawks.
And then they come back. They go 4-11-1, and he gets fired.
Hurts is the quarterback at the end of the season, and then Sudfeld plays that last game because it's a quarterback factory.
So worst case scenario, if Sirianni got the Doug Peterson treatment, which I'm not predicting and I don't think happens, I think Sirianni's a lot better of a coach than Dougie P. That would mean you would have 3 years, so you'd have to eat 2 years of $16 million a year. That's $32 million you'd have to eat if you were Jeffrey Lurie if things didn't work out.
And how much did you make off of winning a Super Bowl?
You probably made a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, and here's the thing, and this is, I see JM in the YouTube chat putting this out there, and this is a common refrain. And this is something that I brought this up to people, and they've been like, well, he's still under contract. You're not going into this season without giving him the extension. You're not going to put him on the last year of his contract after winning a Super Bowl. JM says if Sirianni does well with Kevin Patullo as offensive coordinator, then you pay him. No, you have to pay him this offseason. So this is a decision that has to come down this offseason. You can't push this off to next year when the contract is up.
No, 100% Sirianni gets his extension within the next few weeks. We're going to hear about it.
Right, and that's again, Lurie waxes poetic about, the emotional intelligence and this and that, and it's what we saw in him when we interviewed him.
Don't you dare mock the greatest owner that we have in this city right now.
Give me a break.
Don't
Until
you
he starts
dare.
paying your checks, you can stop. He's great. He's a fantastic owner.
I used to get a check from Jeffrey Lurie. It was for peanuts, but it used to be from Jeffrey Lurie.
So, 20 years ago when you got a check from him, then you can start with, that's my boss.
Wow, that was...
Yeah, dude,
you're right,
old.
20 years ago, bro.
You're old, dude.
Oh, my God. Wait, no, it was a little bit... Yeah, but it was probably like 15... Oh, my... I am old. So you wouldn't refer to me as a kid, you see? This is why you don't refer to Alec Bowman.
I don't refer to... Well, actually, I do. Robin's a good kid. Rodman's a good kid.
I'm older than you.
I know. That's the best part of calling you a kid.
He called Austin a kid yesterday. Austin's 5 years older than him.
I like that. I like calling... Anyone under 30, I feel like you can call a kid. But anyways, moving past that conversation about kids you keep coming back to. Like, the idea that, like, Lurie feels all this way about him, if you truly feel that he's that leader and he's given you already these 2 Super Bowl runs, one where he won, you got to pay him for what he's given you. Like, there's no, like, hedging of, how's he going to be with Patullo? And you certainly can't go past this offseason without giving him the extension.
I am 100% in agreement with you, but I'm not sure that the fans would be 100% in agreement with this. When you're talking when you're talking about a head coach that people wanted fired week 5, week 6, even though they go on to a Super Bowl, I'm already seeing it in our YouTube chat saying, well, he struggles without veteran coordinators. Like, there's already people that are going to be hedging that bet that I think would be reluctant to give him that 4-year, $16 million a year deal, which we both agree that he deserves. So I want to hear from you. You can weigh in on the text board with this conversation, 610-632-0975. What would you be willing to give Nick Sirianni? Because I think it's inevitable. I think we all agree on that. He's getting an extension. But how many years, how much money, knowing that Andy Reid is the highest paid coach at $20 million, and that if he got 16, that would make him the 3rd highest. That's what Tomlin and Jim Harbaugh get. Now, Sean McVay makes $15 a year. Kyle Shanahan makes $14 a year. Ben Johnson, who just got hired by the Bears with 0 head coaching experience, $13 million a year.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, if Sirianni gets 16, guess what? Like, this is I don't want to make this comparison. People are going to get upset, but we can dump this audio later. When you signed the Bryce Harper contract, it was 13 years, $330 million, and that seemed like an absurd amount of money, right? You're like, what? Like, 13 years, what did Soto just get?
Ridiculous money.
And, like, I get it. Like,
look what Vlad just got.
But, yeah, look what Vlad just got. Like, Sirianni, in this moment, the contract he gets is going to be absurd. If you look 3 years from now, the contract that Sirianni gets will only look absurd if he falls completely flat on his face.
Which you are no longer predicting, correct?
No.
You're on the Sirianni love train now.
Okay, again. Listen.
You are a part of that unbelievable rendition.
I don't get invited to Christmas Eve, so I don't think I'm necessarily a part of the love train the way that you are. But I'm at least content with him as my coach. Happy, even. Considering I am sitting here stumping for a contract extension that a year ago I would have punched myself in the face stumping for. And I'm not kidding. I don't go to violence, but in terms of, like, me running into me, that's the only time I would suggest violence. Don't punch me in the face, people, please. But, like, if I had said this a year ago, I would have been livid with myself. Much like I couldn't stand. You know, at this point last year, we had finally run our course of newly, coworkers. We were sick of each other, you know?
Now you love me, though.
No, I've come around on Sirianni, for sure. I have certainly come around on Sirianni.
So, and I appreciate that, Ray. And I'm hoping that a majority of our fans out there have come around on Sirianni. I mean, he did just help hoist a Lombardi trophy, but I'm curious what they would be willing to give him in terms of money. But I said before the break that there was an article that got me a little bit upset because CBS did an article that the Eagles' blueprint of success was 4 elite pass rushers. Like, this is how they built their team, and that this is a draft class loaded with pass rushers. So coming up, though, they list a bunch of teams that can copy this blueprint based off of their current personnel, based off of the draft picks that they have. And there's a few teams in here that make me upset that if they try to copycat the Eagles, I'm going to be furious. So I'll explain that on the other side. We also got the news at noon coming up. And at 12 noon, another shot for you to win $1,000 in our Fanatics signing bonus cash giveaway. So do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phillies even the series. I'm Sean Rodman, and this is your Fanatic Sports Update. Phillies win it late thanks to a home run in the top of the 9th from Trey Turner. Taiwan Walker went 4 2/3 scoreless innings. He allowed 5 hits and 3 walks. In his 2 starts so far, Walker has not allowed a single run. Phillies look to take the rubber match tonight in Atlanta. Jesus Luzardo is on the mound for the Phillies, and Spencer Schwellenbach for the Braves. First pitch is at 7:15. The NFL Draft is now 2 weeks away, and Andrew DeCecca will host a draft special tonight on 97.5 The Fanatic, right here starting at 6 p.m. Sixers have officially announced that Tyrese Maxey is done for the season. He will miss the remaining 2 games. Sixers beat the Wizards on the road last night. The team currently has the 5th best lottery odds. The win last night did not impact the Sixers' lottery standings. This update is brought to you by Discover. Discover wants everyone to feel special. That's why they double all the cash back you've earned on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/credit card. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Got the news at noon coming up. We got your chance to win $1,000 with our Fanatic signing bonus. But we were just talking about the Philadelphia Eagles and Nick Sirianni's contract extension that we're all waiting for. And I saw some people in our YouTube chat talking about how with Nick Sirianni, you should give half your money to Howie Roseman because of the roster that he built. And I was looking at an article on CBS Sports about the blueprint that Howie Roseman used to build this team. And the way he built this team was through building a 4-man pass rush. And we know Howie Roseman always likes to build along the offensive and defensive line. That's been their MO for a while. You can go all the way back to the Andy Reid era of when they started doing that. But then it went through a bunch of teams, with the NFL being the copycat league that it is. It went through a bunch of teams that may try to copycat what the Eagles have done, and teams that have the draft capital to do it, teams that have current personnel to do it. And for whatever reason, the damn article keeps disappearing from my my thing, Ray. This article.
No.
Yeah, I just clicked on it.
Here, I can fill some time for you.
And now it just disappeared again.
Big start to the year for my fantasy baseball team, Bill.
No, you don't.
Big start to the year for them.
I don't need you to do it. But I was saying is what was making me angry about this article was the teams that it lists, okay, that have the personnel and the draft capital to do it. And it lists a bunch of teams, but the ones that bothered me the most. You ready for this? Mm-hmm. It's got the LA Rams on there, mainly because of the personnel they already have. They have 2 rookie draft picks that were obviously really good last year, in addition to what the Philadelphia Eagles got from their rookies, Quinyon and Cooper DeJean. You could look at the rookies that the Rams had. So it's got the Rams as being one of them, and it talks about Jared Verse, and it talks about, who was the other guy? Braden Fisk that they got in the second round. But then it also lists, this is what made me angry, the Detroit Lions with Aiden Hutchinson coming back, the Green Bay Packers, the San Francisco 49ers, the Dallas Cowboys, and the Minnesota Vikings. So now we got to worry that the 49ers, the Cowboys, the Vikings, the Lions, the Packers, the Rams, all these teams are going to try to copycat what the Philadelphia Eagles did in winning their Super Bowl last year. What makes me just a little bit nervous is, look, everybody's going to try to copycat when you win. I get it. But when it's talking about the blueprint the Eagles had, and it talks about the 4-man pass rush that they built, well, you lost Josh Sweat. You lost Milton Williams. You lost Brandon Graham. And now you're taking some flyers on some guys that you're hoping. You're hoping Uche and Ojulari work out. You're hoping maybe you could find that next pass rusher in the draft. But could this Eagles blueprint that we've seen be slowly fading away and these other teams catching up?
Can I be honest with you? Something I've really been thinking about since the season ended. Did we overrate what they were as a pass rushing team throughout the season? Like you talk about,
yes and no. Like you go back to the 2022 Eagles, unbelievable pass rush,
Right.
and I think that made up for maybe some of the weaknesses in the secondary. This year was probably the reverse. You had such a good secondary with Quinyon and Slay and Cooper and CJ GJ, but you're not going to have that either, Ray. You let Slay walk and you let CJ go when you traded him.
I know. I'm just saying, like, Josh Sweat and Milton Williams got paid off of like what they are, but they also got paid off of that Super Bowl performance. Everyone saw them on the biggest stage show up and have a great game. And like they did it at the perfect time. Congrats to you. The parade was awesome. Thank you so much. If I ever see you in town, I'll be sure to get you a drink. But like they were 15th. Like they were middle of the pack in terms of sacks last year as a defense. It wasn't like we're talking about this top 5 defense. Like
but the way they won in the postseason and specifically the Super Bowl, right? Is that
I understand what you're saying, but that means you have to have the talent to get yourself in the position to play in the Super Bowl. Like some of those teams, like, oh yeah, they could do that. Like, the Cowboys were 3rd last year in sacks defensively.
Yeah, so they certainly with Micah Parsons, who needs a new deal as well.
Right.
But look, we'll get back to that because it's 12 o'clock and you're listening to WPEN and WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. And now is your time to win $1,000. Hit it, Sean.
The Fanatic Signing Bonus.
That's right. It's time for the Fanatic Signing Bonus. Your chance to win $1,000. And the contest keyword is draw, spelled D-R-A-W. Draw. You have 25 minutes until after the hour to enter it on the Fanatic mobile app or at 975thefanatic.com, or you can text it to the special contest short code 45911, and one random entry will win $1,000 in this company-wide contest. Each winner will get a call from Beasley, so be sure to answer your phone. You can find contest rules at 975thefanatic.com, and this Fanatic signing bonus is sponsored by Live Casino and Hotel in Philadelphia. voted best casino in PA by Casino Player Magazine. We're giving you 5 chances to win every single weekday, 8 a.m., 10 a.m. This one here at 12 noon. Also on the afternoon show at 3 p.m. and 5 p.m., the Fanatic signing bonus. Get that keyword in, draw. We want a winner from our show, so go.
Get that money.
Money, 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 money.
Oh.
No?
No.
All right, now what's coming up? Now, Austin Jones did a very good job in front of Ray Dunn yesterday with the news at noon. It's now Sean Rodman's turn to try to impress the man Ray Dunn with the news at noon.
There's a whole lot going on in this world. It's time to catch up. Here's the news at noon. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
All right, we're going to start it in the basketball world. And, well, LeBron James is not going to be, too pleased about hearing about this one. Rajon Rondo joined a podcast earlier this week saying that he didn't play in the fourth quarter of Game 5 of the 2020 NBA Finals. And instead of going to his coach asking why he didn't play, well, he went to LeBron James.
People don't know, Game 5, they didn't play me. And I was pissed. Frank didn't trust me, and I looked at Brown like, damn, bro, I'm the only one that's really been here with you. And then y'all don't play me in the fourth quarter. Before the game, on Game 6, he looked at me like, before the game, I'm like, bro.
What's up?
I need to be on the court in the fourth.
Who you looking at? You looking at Brian?
Absolutely, yeah. Nah, I ain't like, nah. No, man. No. Follow my guy, though. But I know if Brian look over and be like, hey,
you know what I'm here for.
Yeah, he in. So, and like I said, I'm like, he didn't do that for me in Game 5, and I felt the type of way. I'm like, oh, bro, I got something to prove.
So LeBron was running the show?
No. LeBron was running the show. Also, Rondo. You were a minus 13 in the first 3 quarters of that game. LeBron was carrying you. He had 40, 13, and 7 in that game. Let's relax on the whole, I had to ask LeBron to get in the game. Yeah, there's a reason you had to ask LeBron to get in the game. You were a minus 13. You were 1 of 7 from the field. I'm shocked I'm not playing, man. Play better. Rondo, how old was he at that point? Because the age actually matters to a guy like, he was like in his mid-30s. Put him on minus 13 through the first 3 quarters. Yeah. Am I shocked they went with Caruso or they actually let LeBron run the show? What the hell do you think you are at that point?
Wow, man. Why you hate Rondo so much, man?
I don't know, man. It's just like, LeBron got you an extra ring at the end of your tenure. Like, let's relax here.
What year was this now?
He's talking the 2020 finals.
Yes.
Yeah, this was the COVID championship, right?
Yeah.
In the bubble?
Yes.
Yeah, he was old at that point. He's 34.
We're acting like it's so crazy. He played 20 minutes a game that season. He played 18 minutes in that game, was a minus 13. Rondo is like, this is one of the things that drives me nuts.
Yeah, we struck a nerve with Red.
Current NBA. Well, no, it's like any NBA player that's right now looking to get into media, say LeBron's name and try and find an attachment to LeBron so that you keep picking up keep picking up like views, and it's like, all right, yeah, we got to have that guy on the podcast. And you know what? My podcast is not going to take off. And you know what? I'm going to be sitting next to Shaq on some sort of panel soon, because if I just keep bringing up LeBron's name and making jokes at LeBron's expense, I'm going to keep getting, like, shut up.
Smart business for Rondo.
Yeah.
All right, what else we got, Sean?
All right, next up, we're going to head over to the Masters. I know Fred Couples hit a nice shot to lead off in the first hole, but we're going to Jim Nantz, who apparently bought a car off of one Scotty Scheffler at Augusta one year.
Based on the former Scotty Scheffler Chevrolet Suburban.
It's in my garage.
That now lives in Jim Nantz's garage.
In Pebble Beach. For years, since I moved to Nashville as my main home, primary, I would go out and rent SUVs. Need it. Got kids, so now I've got that taken care of. I got the SUV. It just happens to be the SUV that was purchased on Washington Road on a father-son visit to Augusta in 2012. You know the story. The family car broke down. They drove from Dallas. Scott Sr. and Scotty drove to Augusta. The car broke down. They had no means of getting home. So Mr. Scheffler went down Washington Road, got a ride to a dealership, and bought this Yukon. And I think it's a collector's piece. Imagine if you had Tiger Woods' car.
I know. I was going to say the same thing, especially with the story behind it.
First of all, he calls him Mr. Scheffler.
Listen, it's all about being nice and polite and behaved down there at Augusta. Everyone's got to be buttoned up this week.
You know what I know? Oh, don't you dare
can't
get
say
sarcastic.
fans down there. You have to say patrons.
Yeah,
You know
can't
what I
say
noticed?
fans. You have to say patrons.
You know what I noticed while you're playing that segment, though, is Nance is talking about golf, so he turned on his golf voice.
I'd noticed that too.
Right? That's the Nance Masters voice right there as he's talking. That's not the Nance with Tony Romo voice during the football game.
Well, he's probably less annoyed.
By the way, Scheffler's already 2 under through 7.
Oh,
he's the favorite to repeat.
Real quick here.
I wanted Rory McIlroy. What's he doing?
I'm pretty sure that Nance, if I remember reading the story correctly, that he bid an absurd amount of money on this car and all of it went to charity. I think the addition of this was he put $50,000 down for this, and it was all for some sort of charity. It was I think to benefit cancer research or something.
Gotcha.
This is beyond just having this keepsake of a thing. He did a really cool thing
And
in
it was
terms of raising money.
All right, what else you got, Sean?
All right, next up we're going to the football realm with Brandon Graham. Joined the Kay Adams show the other day, and he kind of alluded to maybe he's not fully done.
How retired are you?
I'm 90% retired. I'm 90%.
I love that. That's my favorite answer.
Oh, man. 90% retired. I heard this clip. Ray and I actually saw it yesterday during the show, and I was going to put it on the show sheet for today, and then you said you were putting on the news at noon. So you know what? When we come back, I want to talk about this because BG throwing out there he's 90% retired. Now, I listened to the longer clip. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure that's what he meant, but of course we're going to take it and run with it. So let's really break this down on the other side. BG saying he's 90% retired.
I'm not bleeping leaving.
Oh, boy. We'll talk about it coming up.
Thursday, April 10th, Phillies swept the
All right, so we got to talk about Brandon Graham. You just heard it on the news at noon. Sean Rodman played a clip. So BG went on the Up and Adams show, I guess 2 days ago. And he was asked by Kay Adams, how retired are you? And we just heard a shortened version of the clip where he says 90%. So, of course, we're going to take that and everyone's going to run with it. What does he mean? What does he mean? So Sean's pulling the full clip. Do you got the full clip?
Yes, I do.
So let's just listen to this on BG, and then we'll react. This is Brandon Graham on Up and Adams. Listen to BG.
How much I want to continue to train the way I'm training. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm trying to look good and training the way training to train for a game is different, but I haven't really changed that yet. I just want to go out there and speed it up to where I want to look good and make sure that I'm staying fit. And while I'm still rehabbing my arm and making sure that when I do retire, I'm staying in the habit of that. Because a lot of guys tell me when they leave, you got to make sure you stay in the habit of working out, doing what you do. Because this is our first time really being off and not really having to train for anything. So I got a new motivation. It's just to look good. Because if I'm gonna be on TV and want to talk and have my suits on, I got to be looking good. So and I want to be healthy for my kids, like you said, my family. And I got a new motivation now. So that 10% is just in case, but I doubt it because I try to be a man of my word, and I don't want to have to play up in that back and forth stuff. I'm just going to accept it and just move on and get ready for what's next, because I feel like I'm going to make the next thing great. You know what I'm saying?
You will definitely.
All right, so that was Brandon Graham. So the clip that Sean played during the news at noon was, how retired are you? He says 90%, and then fans take it and run with it. But I think he made it clear there in that longer clip, even though he said, when I do retire, which I've seen people reading into, is he not retired yet? I think he's making it clear there, Ray, that mentally he's just going to keep training the way he would if he was still playing, because he wants to be healthy, and he wants to be fit, and he wants to look good on television. Like, BG's done, right? I mean, we heard the speech. I think his press conference was while we were on the air. We played it in its entirety. He's done.
No, I think actually he's going to come back. Like, I don't know. You want me to try and contrarian that with you? Like,
I think that
he's
we
done.
put an end to this nonsense, because I've heard it from a bunch of people. Like, oh, well, maybe he's not retired. I think there is no way that BG is not retired.
I think he does the 9% because he's definitely still in the facility. He's still working out. Like he's got like he is retired in the sense that we don't see him on the football field again. I don't think he feels retired because I don't think he yet feels like he has been taken from that football player's mentality, that football player's lifestyle, where he's still working out. He's trying to rehab himself. He's probably still working in the facility. He's probably still in touch with the guys, and it hasn't hit him yet. Like, I think, and I'll use it like a very regular life comparison that probably doesn't hit the same way, but like you talk to a teacher that retires. When the school year ends in June, they don't feel retired. They feel like it's summer break.
Until
when you come back in August and September and everyone else is doing lesson plans and you're still sitting there enjoying your daiquiri, like that to me is the moment where you feel retired. He's 90% there because he's accepted the reality of his situation, but he has yet to get to the football season where he doesn't play the game. So I think maybe that's when he'll feel 100% retired. I think it's more of a feeling of the way he is right now.
Yeah, it's a great point because nobody's playing right now. You're right. It'll feel like that when everyone's reporting back to training camp in August and BG's hoping to be on TV. I mean, you just heard him there, too. I want to look good when I'm on TV. As we're talking about BG, I'm scrolling Twitter. And I'm on record as saying that I think anyone with a personalized license plate may fall into the DB category that Mike likes to talk about. However, I'm seeing the Philly Times just put out somebody's personalized license plate here in Pennsylvania, and this is awesome. It says tush push. Tush push. Ray, DB or not DB with tush push on the license plate.
Yeah, I'll pass.
I'm surprised no one had that yet.
I mean, I don't know if a lot of people are like thinking like, you know what I need people to know about me?
That I'm a tush push fan.
Tushes. Like, I don't know. I don't think that's something that, like, prior to the tush push, How many times did you ever hear someone say push a tush right before the tush push was the thing?
Well, you know what's going to be funny is, it's not going to be funny when the NFL outlaws it, because I do think that's where this is headed, but it is going to be funny in about 25 or 30 years when we're talking to our kids as they get older, and you're trying to tell them, and when Ray has kids, you're trying to tell, oh, yeah, when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, they had a play called the tush push. Trying to explain what you mean by the tush push. The Philly special has a little bit better ring to it than the tush push.
Are you kidding me? Tush push is a great sounding play.
Of course you would think that.
The tush push?
I'm waiting for the YouTube chat to make their jokes about Ray Dunn's
How could you be
life.
anti-tush push?
I know there's going to be
anti-tush? Anti-push?
Are you a tush push or a brotherly shove guy? Which one do you like better?
I'm a tush pushman.
You like the tush push.
Yeah.
Sean, how about you? Tush push, brotherly shove?
Tush push. Definitely tush push.
I'm the one, yeah. Who was it who said I'm the one that pushes the tush? Was that Saquon?
That was Saquon. He's on national TV. He's on a late night show. He's talking about pushing tushes.
I'm
Come
the
on.
one that pushes the tush.
Good stuff.
So, obviously, a lot on the table today. We're talking Phillies. We're talking Eagles. We were talking about Nick Sirianni's contract extension. But we were also having some fun. It's John Madden's birthday today. And I think that John Madden, who is known for being a great coach, great analyst, what he's best known for, to me, is being the name of the greatest sports video game of all time. And we asked for people to weigh in on this on the text board of their favorite sports video games at 610-632-0975. What do we got, Sean? Anything on the text board with the video games?
Yeah, we have a number of texts coming in. We have the Tecmo Bowl coming in from Jet from South Jersey.
Tecmo Bowl was awesome. See, you guys are probably too young to fully appreciate Tecmo Bowl. When I was a kid, that was the best, man. And I would always play with the Raiders because you got Bo Jackson. So unbelievable, dude. What else we got?
We also have EA Sports NFL or NBA. Also for the arcade games, NBA Jam.
Oh, NBA Jam was awesome on Sega Genesis, but it was incredible in the arcade. But I always tell Ray, because, Ray does the play-by-play for Temple women's basketball, and he does Temple men's on ESPN+. He has to steal from the NBA Jam. Like, he's on fire! Or when a big dunk, boom, shakalaka. Dude, people would love that, Ray.
Yeah. People would love it, I'm sure. Get called into an office. Well, Ray, you're now just a talk radio guy.
What bothered me about NBA Jam, though, and I loved the game, was if you played with the Bulls, they didn't have MJ. It was Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that a licensing thing?
It had to be. MJ was not in the game. And it's like, how do you have a basketball game in the 90s that Michael Jordan's not in?
You play as the Sonics a lot?
With Sean Kemp.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're damn right. And was it Gary Payton, too? Yeah.
Payton and Kemp. Anytime I play, I try to go back
Loved
to play
NBA Jam.
Sonics.
That NBA Jam came out a couple years later with Tournament Edition, and they had, it was weird at that point. Like, there were spots on the court that would be worth more if you shot from there and stuff. I always preferred the original NBA Jam.
I remember playing a newer version in the early or mid 2000s as well. I think it may be on the Wii or something. I think LeBron, I don't know which team he was on at the time, if he was the Cavs or the Heat, but I remember LeBron being in there.
If it was the Cavs, they're going to have LeBron and Shaq from the 07, whatever it was. I'm trying to think who his running mate would be in that.
Yeah, I don't know who it would be. Now, the Provolone John on our YouTube chat said that the Hornets team was great on NBA Jam. They had Larry Johnson. You remember Grandmama? Do you remember those commercials? You guys are too young for the Grandmama. Do you know what I'm talking about? The Grandmama commercials?
No idea.
Larry Johnson would dress as a grandma. Oh, they're great, dude. I had a Larry Johnson jersey back in the day.
Did you?
When I was a kid, I had the turquoise Hornets jersey.
Oh, yeah. No, the Hornets gear
was awesome.
If you
back
don't
then.
watch the product on the floor for the Hornets and you just strictly look at gear, they're a top-tier organization in terms of gear.
Yeah, they definitely were top tier in terms of gear, especially back then, in the 90s, everybody was rocking them. But, all right, so we'll continue to take your texts on the best sports video games. I'll get more from Sean coming up later. But I do want to get back to the Phillies, but you brought up Brandon Graham. Brandon Graham was on the New Heights podcast with Jason Kelsey. And he had something to say about Chip Kelly and something that Chip Kelly did better than any other coach that the Philadelphia Eagles have ever had. Wait till you hear this one on the other side.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phillies even the series. I'm Sean Rodman, and this is your Fanatic Sports Update. This update is brought to you by Bradford White. When you need a water heater, choose one that is built to be the best. Choose Bradford White. Phillies win it late thanks to a home run in the top of the ninth from Trey Turner. Taiwan Walker went 4 2/3 scoreless innings. He allowed 5 hits and 3 walks yesterday, and in his 2 starts so far, Walker has not allowed a single run. Phillies look to take the rubber match tonight in Atlanta. Jesus Luzardo is on the mound for the Phillies, and Spencer Schwellenbach for the Braves. First pitch is at 7:15. The NFL Draft is now 2 weeks away. Andrew DeCecco will host a draft special tonight on 97.5 The Fanatic starting at 6 p.m. Sixers have officially announced that Tyrese Maxey is done for the season. He will miss the remaining 2 games. This update is also brought to you by AutoZone. Get in the zone. The free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help troubleshoot the likely cause of your pesky check engine light for free and get you back on the road. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone, AutoZone. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Welcome back in, everybody. This 12 o'clock hour is brought to you by Service First HVAC, offering 0% financing for 48 months, rebates and tax credits up to $4,300 when purchasing a heating and cooling system. Learn more at servicefirsthvac.com. No Mikey missed today. He's down at the Masters, which has already started. I'm not a huge Rory McIlroy fan, but I'm predicting him to win his first Masters.
All right.
I'm going with Rory.
I'm sorry. I don't want on Monday you to come in like, oh, I got McIlroy right. All right, if we're doing Harper home runs and McIlroy is your Master's pick, let's get a little away from the white bread of selections here.
Rory has not won a major in, 11 years? Like, this isn't necessarily going with the I mean, he's a very good golfer, don't get me wrong, and he's playing very well right now. But he's never won a Masters, and he hasn't won a major in 11 years. So I'm going with Rory. So I will pat myself on the back. By the way, as I say I'm going to pat myself on the back, someone asked in YouTube earlier, is Bill I forget the exact words they use, but that I'm always talking about how great I am, and am I really like this, or is this just a shtick?
What do you think?
It is a shtick.
If you've picked up on it.
I'm not really like that. I promise you, I am not really like that.
Our statistics say that you probably only listen about like 22 minutes, and you've picked up on it.
It's a shtick.
Think about dealing with him for 4 hours. By the way, your crazy long shot McIlroy, who hasn't won a major in years, was plus 600 before the tournament.
Yeah, what was he?
Way to step out on that limb.
Fourth best odds, was he?
Right now, he's the second best.
Yeah, I think it might have been second.
All right. Well, that's good. I'm still going with Rory. So we're going to get back to the Phillies in a second, but we heard from Brandon Graham earlier because he was on the Up and Adams about his retirement. But he also went on the New Heights podcast, and we don't need the audio, but he went on the New Heights podcast, and he talked about something that Chip Kelly did better than anybody. And I'm shocked by this. Knowing what we know about Chip Kelly and the massive ego that Chip Kelly had, this blew my mind reading this. And I was reading this in the Inquirer today. So you remember the NFLPA put out their grades for each team. They do that report card every year. Remember that, Ray? We talked about it a little bit on the air when Mike was here.
Yeah, I do remember that.
So one of the bad grades that the Eagles got was they got an F for team travel. And the reason why was players felt like they should sit in first class and not the coaching staff. Because the way they do it right now is the players are sitting in the back of the plane and the coaches are all sitting up there in the nice, comfortable first-class seats. Believe it or not, Chip Kelly used to do that. When Chip Kelly came in, according to Brandon Graham, the quote is, the one thing that Chip Kelly had right, that boy got us in the front. He was like, we are coaches, they're the players. Chip Kelly, Mr. Ego himself, put himself in the back of the plane and let the players sit in first class. Doesn't that shock you?
I guess.
I'm like blown away by
You're
that.
like blown away by it.
Well, he's the only coach who did it. So then after Chip Kelly, Dougie P comes in and says, no, we're sitting in the front. Sirianni comes in, no, we're sitting in the front. Andy Reid, when he was here, no, we're sitting in the front. Chip Kelly's the guy who says, no, let's give the players. Even though I am going to cut Deshaun Jackson, and I'm going to trade away LaShawn McCoy for nothing, and I'm going to get every single star player angry at me because of my ego. I'm going to let them sit in the front of the plane.
Well, that's because he wanted to go to the front of the plane after he decided that, probably.
I think, like, honestly, for him, it's probably like the one concession. Like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be I can't find a word that I can use on the air. I'm going to be a bad guy in every other respect. Here, you know what? Yeah, you guys go ahead. Take the front of the plane. Yeah, that's if I'm going to treat you like this, go ahead. And I don't think it's the one thing. Like, all right, I hate to do could you give Chip Kelly credit for anything? But isn't he the one that introduced a lot of like the health and all that stuff?
Yeah, that's what I think it probably was about because he was so big on the sports science stuff.
Yeah.
And it was, remember he used to try to monitor their sleep and he would monitor what they ate and all this stuff. Is he probably also was looking at it as they need more leg room on the plane.
Right.
It's got to be.
Like this is like a healthcare, like a self-care type thing for him. I'll be honest with you. You're floored by it. I feel bad saying this about something they gave an F. I don't care in the slightest. You're on a private plane about your like leg room and like the whole thing. That to me, grow up
Yeah.
a little bit with it.
All right, Ray's getting a little bit.
I just
little
like.
tough. Well, they don't fly that often either. Like you figure you got 8 or 9 home games, and then your other away games. You're not flying to Washington. You're not flying to New York to play the Giants. Like this past season, were they at Baltimore?
Yeah.
So you're not flying
They
there.
didn't get on a plane after like the Rams game.
Yeah,
right?
so there's
Something
not
like
that. There's not that many flights. There's not that many flights.
Like again, honestly, this falls at the Lori. Go get the bigger plane. Go get the bigger plane at this point. Like at this point, go get yourself one of those nice private jets. Go get the bigger plane, Lori. That's if they're going to complain about it. I'm not going to side with management on this one. I'll say the players deserve their extra space.
Maybe that's why he sold the percentage of the team. Maybe they're going to go out and get a private plane.
I guess like is it really that big a deal?
Probably not. Probably not when you're talking about the limited amount of time you're even on the plane. But
right.
Well, before we get back to the Phillies, as we're still on the Eagles, a topic came up earlier. We were talking about Nick Sirianni's contract extension because we all agree it's going to happen, but we're waiting for it to happen, and we're talking about, well, how many years, how much money, does he become one of the highest paid coaches in the NFL? Do you extend them for 3, 4, 5 years? You know, what should the terms be? When Adam Schefter was on the morning show, he said he would predict a 3-year extension, which Ray and I think is probably a little light because that's less than what the original contract was. Booney from NBC Sports wrote a great article. Goes by Dan Roach on the website. He wrote a great article. We call him Booney for whatever reason.
He goes by Dan Roach as in his name.
Not that he goes by Booney. No, he goes by Dan Roach on NBC Sports. He wrote a good article too. He weighed in saying, 5 years, $16 million minimum, which would be a tremendous, tremendous raise for him. But we were curious what the people out there were thinking because I still think there are people reluctant to declare that Sirianni is a great coach. Did we get anything on the text board with this, Sean?
Yeah, we did. Jasper from Sicklerville checking in says Sirianni is the only head coach to take the Eagles to 2 Super Bowls. He won 1 and would have won 2 if he'd had a decent DC. He absolutely should get $16 million for 4 years.
All right, so there's some Sirianni love. Now, is there anybody on the text board, because Ray and I agree with that sentiment, but is there anyone on the text board who's like, you know what, no way. I'm not trusting this guy yet. I'm not going to give him that much of a deal, that many years, until he proves it another season. Anybody out there saying that type of stuff?
No one said that maybe word for word, but one person, Big Leo checking in, says Ray said he's doing something right. Nick, yeah, he's doing something right, all right. Staying out of the way. Doesn't coach offense or defense. Pay him to do something.
Oh, man. You're going to get me angry, Ray. These are going to get me angry. See, that's what I was waiting for. I knew when this conversation would come up that there are still people like that texter out there. Like, I could understand. Like, my dad actually just weighed in, too, saying 3 years is plenty because he doesn't fully trust Sirianni yet either, right? Which should disprove the fact that we're related, unless you think we're related on my mother's side, because he doesn't really trust him yet either. But there are still a lot of fans who agree with that texter, I'm sure, that is, oh, well, it's all because of the coordinators. It's all because of the personnel. And I said this last year leading into the season. We are not giving enough credit to what a head coach does. Like, just because he doesn't call plays offensively or defensively, I think that we're disrespecting the role of a head coach by saying they don't do anything just because they don't call plays.
Also, you give them less of an extension. Right now, they are still pretty well set up. You're going to have, if you give them less of an extension, Fangio's still here, and they're pretty well set up where they should probably win double-digit games the next couple of years. That means you are closer on the extension clock to him getting another extension.
Well, you don't know, though, what you have at offensive coordinator this year.
But what I'm telling you is that they have to make a decision about him again sooner if you give him less years.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So if you're a person that doesn't like him, you might actually want to see the longer-term extension.
But if you gave him a 3-year extension, then that would mean you got to make a decision in 3 years because then he would be a lame duck coach again.
Right.
But you agreed, like you had said when we were talking about the Doug Peterson thing, Peterson won the Super Bowl, and then he got fired after his 3rd season after the Super Bowl.
And we're not nearly as well set up after that Super Bowl as they are right now.
So if you give him a 3-year extension, then you have to reevaluate it in 3 years. If you give him a 4-year extension, hopefully you're not reevaluating it in 3 years. And if you are, it's simply because you're eating the last 2 years of the contract. But that could be – I know that we say, oh, well, it doesn't count against the cap. If they give him $16 million a year, and in 3 years it turns out to be a disaster, would Laurie really eat $32 million? Like when he moved on from Dougie P, there was no way Peterson was making $16 a year. Like that was a little bit easier of a decision.
What's the revenue going to be like in 3 years, in 4 years? Like they're going to get an 18th game probably. They're probably going to be playing games in Brazil and Belgium and London 25 times. Like they're going to be making money. It's the NFL. You know what you got to do if you don't think he's the man in a couple years? Eat the money. You know what's going to come back? That money.
Hold on. I got to read this comment from a YouTube chatter because this is spot on. Miguel says, the CEO coach isn't doing anything, people. Don't understand how hard it is to maintain order among 53 grown alpha males who make millions of dollars with huge egos. It's not just, hey, show up. And that is spot on. And you look at this Eagles team every week, Sirianni got him to show up. But look, we'll wait for that news. We'll see what happens. I'm expecting it within the next couple of weeks. We'll get the extension news. I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet. But coming up next, I want to get back to the Phillies, and I want to get back to the original conversation we started the show with back in the 10 o'clock hour, which is how much do you allow yourself to get caught up in the early season happenings of your team? Do we overreact sometimes? And we're going to take a look at this Phillies team through the first 11 games, and are we overreacting, either negatively or positively, to some of the things we've seen in a very small sample size? So we'll get back to that coming up next.
Tyrone Johnson, Ricky Battelle.
So, Phillies win last night, improved their record to 8-3. Taiwan Walker, 0 earned runs again last night. And what we started the show talking about, because it wasn't all positive last night, the bullpen looked shaky again outside of Jose Alvarado. I mean, I say look shaky. Alvarado scared you a little bit. Took 30 pitches, but he got the job done. Alec Boehm 0 for 5 last night with 4 strikeouts. Brandon Marsh 0 for 4 with another strikeout. Boehm's hitting 178. Marsh is hitting 143. But there were a lot of positives. Not only Taiwan Walker, Harper with the 2-run home run in the 7th. Trey Turner with the big home run in the 9th. He also walks again. He now has an OBP close to 400 on the season. Kepler, our man Kepler 2 for 4 last night. And Bryson Stott 2 for 4 with an RBI, improving his batting average to 278.
So the seesaw for you goes back in pro Kepler mode.
No, I'm not pro or anti-Kepler. I'm just not sure that he's going to be your everyday left fielder. Like,
Got it.
Is he going to be able to hit left-handed pitching this year? We'll see. But this is exactly now leads me into the topic we started the show, which is, do we tend to overreact to the early takeaways of a season? And the example we gave was last year, looking at the Philadelphia Eagles. Heading into the bye, they're 2-2. They were a catch away from being 3-1, but yet the sky was falling here. And whether you were the anti-Sirianni guy, or you were the anti-Jalen Hurts guy, or you looked at the defense and said nothing's improved, the sky was falling at the bye week, and we were overreacting to what we had seen early in the season, and all they do is go on to go 16-1, with the only game they lose is when Jalen Hurts gets hurt, and they're hoisting the Lombardi Trophy. So, one, why do we do that as a fan base? Is it unique to just the city of Philadelphia? But really, is there anything wrong with it? Like, I'm pointing it out, but I also don't know if there's anything wrong with it. I think that's the beauty of sports. It's the beauty of being a fanatic of your team, is that you're going to live and die with everything. You're going to ride the roller coaster up and down as the season progresses, right? So, like, if you're talking to the fan base right now, they're out there listening, would you tell them not to do that? Will you tell them, like, hey, just calm down? Or do you think this is the best part about being a fan?
I would like not to have people expect me to be upset for an 8-3 baseball team. That's mostly where it is. Like,
yeah, but wait. I get it, they're 8-3. But you would also agree, and I'm not one of these wake me up in October guys, but you'd also agree it's not just about being 8-3. We're looking at, is this team good enough to get over the hump? And that's why we're going to overanalyze.
I understand you're overanalyzing. I understand why everyone's doing it. I understand what we've seen. And people say, well, obviously, the past struggles that you've seen for this team, some of them have already reared themselves this season. You feel like, whoa, what do you have in terms of the outfield? Is that something that's sustainable? People came into this season down on Boehm. He hasn't done much to change your mind on that. They came into this season worried about the bullpen. That hasn't given you so much to change your mind about it. But if you came into this season with the expectation that they were going to win 90-plus games, they were going to compete for the opportunity to win a World Series, I don't understand why that would be changed by the start of this season. There are things that they have to address, but like to say 11 games into the season, definitively this bullpen is a problem that's not going to be solved and it's going to stop them from winning a World Series is a little soon for me. A little soon to get to that point. To tell me that they're never going to find an answer in the outfit, like, it's a little soon. These are concerns that you will address eventually. But to be had they got, let's say they lost 2 or 3 to the Dodgers. They don't find it out on that Sunday. We come in Monday pretty upset. And I would have been upset with the team as well because the opportunity was there. Like, quite frankly, Tyler Glasnow not being able to pitch on that mound and then them serving up that pitch to Castellanos, you can't lose that game after that happens. So if they had managed to blow that one, I would have come in a little bit differently.
Yeah.
They win that game. Had they gotten swept the way you said about the Braves, I would have come in, oh, hey, listen, I guess tomorrow I'm not technically in, but I would have come in at some point like, you really blew this one, didn't you? Like, there's places to be upset. I can live with concern. I can't live with people who are already like, well, this team hasn't done anything to find itself any better than it was a year ago. It's the same old, we're in trouble. Like, I can't get to that point about a team that's won 8 of its first 11.
No, I agree with you there. We can, as fans, maybe go a little bit too far, but I think it's completely fair that even though they're 8-3, And I saw my man MBD in the chat saying if they win tonight, they would have won every series so far this season, which is all great.
True.
But I do think it's fair to look at the team and say, all right, well, these are where some of the weaknesses are. And, you mentioned the bullpen. You mentioned the outfield. We've talked a little bit about Alec Boehm's early struggles and where he is in the lineup should he be batting cleanup. So we're going to go to the phones real quick because Dr. Mad Elf, who checks in,
What?
he's got an opinion on where Alec Boehm should be in the lineup. What's up, Greg?
Gentlemen, how we doing?
We're doing well, man. So you don't want Alec Boehm batting cleanup?
Well, in the best of possible times, I'd say yes. But if he was hitting like he did in the first half last year, but at this point, I don't want to bruise his ego any more than it already is. I would give it a little more time for him to snap out of it. I hate to coddle people, because that doesn't serve the team well usually. But I think in his case, give him a little more rope and hope that he turns it around.
So Greg was saying something that we talked a little bit about earlier, which is we know how Alec Boehm can be with his personality, which I don't like. I don't like the sulking. I'm not, as much as I've been frustrated with Boehm, I'm not suggesting they put him on the bench, Ray. I'm not suggesting that Edmundo Sosa becomes your everyday third baseman, and I've seen people overreacting with that on Twitter and on social media. But I don't think it's a bad thing to just flip-flop him in the lineup with Castellanos, who's hot right now, and say, all right, look, Alec, you're not going to hit cleanup tonight. You're going to hit sixth. And that's not the end of the world to be hitting sixth. I'm not saying drop him to eighth or ninth in the lineup and destroy the guy. I'm just saying, look, we're going to flip-flop you with Casty. Casty's hot right now. So hot right now. You still don't get that movie, do you? You don't get it. Zoolander? Too young. Sean probably doesn't know what I'm talking about either.
I know the movie, but no.
Oh, man. You guys are too young. You also don't know good video games. Well, look, coming up, we'll continue the Phillies conversation. We'll continue the conversation about do we overreact. And I want to get back to the text board on this fun side topic we got today because it's John Madden's birthday. Madden being my favorite sports video game of all time. We asked you to hit us up on the text board about your favorite sports video games, and we've had a ton of them come in. So we'll get back to that. We'll get back to the Phillies conversation as well. All right. Coming up next, Ray. Coming up next. So keep it right here.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phillies even the series. I'm Sean Rodman, and this is your Fanatic Sports Update. Phillies win it late thanks to a home run in the top of the ninth from Trey Turner. Taiwan Walker with another solid performance. He went 4 2/3 scoreless innings, and he only allowed 5 hits and 3 walks. In 2 starts so far for Walker, he has not allowed a home run. Phillies look to take the rubber match tonight in Atlanta. Jesus Luzardo is on the mound for the Phillies, and Spencer Schwellenbach for the Braves. First pitch is at 7:15. The NFL Draft is now 2 weeks away. Andrew DeCecco will host a draft special tonight on 97.5 The Fanatic, and that'll start at 6 p.m. Sixers beat the Wizards on the road last night. The team currently has the 5th best lottery odds. The win last night did not impact the Sixers' lottery standings. This update is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Hour. This is Bryce Harper's song to Alec Boehm, "Sweet Child of Mine," because we're still going to treat him like a little baby, Ray. Right?
Oh, I don't know why people get the impression that I'm bashing on Boehm. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm being real fair to the guy.
He's a good kid, that kid.
That doesn't make any sense.
He's a grown man.
Just called him a baby.
He has been acting like a baby. Look, and I know I've been getting accused in the YouTube chat, too, of being a little bit too hard on Alec Boehm.
It's not you being too hard on the guy. You just can't act like you're surprised when people
just want him to – I don't want him benched. I'm not calling for him to be benched. I'm really not. I just want him to stop with the sulking and figure out – like, he's in a rut right now. I mean, to go 0 for 5 last night with 4 strikeouts is pretty rough.
Not great.
And it's going to be tough.
Is under 4.
It's going to be tough to bounce back tonight. You got a tough pitcher on the mound for the Braves in Schwellenbach. But we'll take a look at that matchup coming up a little bit later. But we're talking right now about, do we overreact to things that happen early in seasons? And we're not just looking at this Philly season, but we were looking back at the Eagles because we probably overreacted.
We did.
Not probably, you're right. We did. We overreacted when they were 2-2 to various things, whether it was the defense or whether it was things you saw on offense. Was it the head coach? A lot of people wanted him fired. And now are we doing the same thing with the Fightin' Phils, even though they're 8-3? And I think it's completely fine. Like, this is what I think's great about being a fan. And we can disagree, and you could tell people you're overreacting, and we could have these heated discussions, which makes being a fan great. But I think when we look at the Phillies, you enjoy the ride of a 162-game season. I'm not saying you don't enjoy the ride, but I also think it's fair to look at an 8-3 baseball team that's won every series they've been a part of, and if they win tonight, they'll win another series, but identify some areas of weakness. And I think we'd all agree there are some areas of weakness that have shown, even in light of the 8-3 start. Like, they still haven't necessarily hit starting pitching. You still have issues in your bullpen. You still don't have an answer out in left field or center field. You're having some early struggles from Alec Boehm on third. So there are some issues that I think need to be discussed even in light of the 8-3 start.
Yeah, and you can discuss them, absolutely. I'm not telling you, and I know YouTube chat was he doesn't want us to show our emotions. No, of course you show your emotions, show you how you feel about the game. I live with the guy. That's one of my best friends in the world. He lives and dies on every pitch. If I did that way, I would not have gotten the bill of health that I got the other day. I wouldn't be able to take it because I live and die with this team, but I try and keep the context of it. I'm an absolute monster to watch a postseason Phillies game with. I would not wish that upon people who don't know me. Those that do know me actually are pretty concerned about. Like, when you start getting into that, and like even the end of that Dodgers game Friday night, I was standing up. Last night I was standing up at the end of that game because I want to see them win every possible game they can. I just think this morning I heard Kincade say there's more concerns than things to feel good about. You start laying out all these concerns. You can have concerns and you can absolutely react to what you're watching. But I think when you go overboard, it's like, oh, this is what's going to sink them.
No, you're right.
It's something that could.
We do go far sometimes.
Sometimes I think we get so set on finding the fatality of the team and what's going to be its final undoing that we don't actually. There's no solution-oriented conversation. It's only problem-oriented conversation. Like, it's only like, this is a problem. This is what's going to get them.
Well, that's not the case. I mean, sometimes I think we overreact to positives. We'll talk about that in a second. But you're listening to WPEN and WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. Like, I don't think we overreact to just the negatives, though. And we've talked about this as well.
I agree with that today.
We go too far the other way sometimes, where it's like, this is the greatest player we've ever seen, and you're talking about 2 or 3 games. I mean, but whenever I think about that, I immediately go to Travis Fulgham with the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, he was the greatest wide receiver. Now, we were also starved for a good wide receiver coming off of the Terrell Owens mess. And Travis Fulgham shows up and has like a 3-game span like we've never seen before in an Eagles uniform. And then he just falls off the face of the earth.
Now, hold up. Coming off the Terrell Owens mess, I feel like you're missing like an entire 15 years of wide receivers there.
As I said it, I thought the same thing. I'm like, wait a second. No, I think there was some good receivers.
I think we wanted Carson to have a number 1. I think that's what that was.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I glossed over Deshaun and Jeremy Maclin and all that. Yeah, so Fulgham, we're talking about the 2020 season. Yeah, I did. I glossed over a bunch.
Now, listen, again, when you list out those 3 as the top 3 you had over 15 years, and again, this is me. I'm as big a Deshaun, like when I was growing up, I was a big Deshaun Jackson fan. But like when you list those 3 as your top 3 over 15 years, you can understand why you're kind of starved for it. I think everyone wanted him to have a number 1 wide receiver, and that's why everyone attached themselves to Travis Fulgham. It was the greatest start to a career.
It was pretty awesome, though.
Yeah.
He came out of nowhere. But
I loved Paul Turner in the preseason.
Oh, everybody loved Paul Turner.
Every year I give away my Paul Turner preseason player of the year award.
He's become synonymous with the training camp standouts. Is the Paul Turner? Who's going to be Paul Turner?
Award.
And we'll do that this summer.
I can't wait.
I can't wait either.
You think Mike's going to enjoy the Paul Turner Award?
Yeah, I think he will. I think
the guy who hates temps.
He'll yell at us for having those opinions.
It'd be a dumb award.
But we still got to get through the draft. It's crazy. We're excited about training camp. We got the draft in 2 weeks, man. So you're not here tomorrow, and neither is Mike. So Andrew DeCecco is going to do the full 4 hours with me.
Correct.
Does he have his draft special tonight?
Yes, he does.
All right, so Andrew DeCecco is going to be doing his draft special tonight. And I'm telling you, I've told you before, great coverage of the Philadelphia Eagles you get from Andrew DeCecco. And this guy lives and breathes the NFL draft. So you can watch that special tonight on YouTube, I believe, as well, right? Is it on YouTube or just radio?
I have to double check that.
Double check. But
it was last week. It was on YouTube.
Yeah, I bet it's on YouTube.
Definitely on radio.
Come back to YouTube. If it's not there, get the app.
Worst case scenario, we are going to dive deep again into the draft tomorrow on the show because DeCecco is going to be with me for all 4 hours. So we'll do Phillies, but we'll certainly do some NFL draft tomorrow as well. So I know people are hitting us up on the text board with regard to our question, since it's John Madden's birthday, about the best video games. But before I get there, I was reading an article on Inquirer this morning. I read a lot of articles, Ray. I don't read a lot of books, Mikey Miss, but I read a lot of articles.
Listen, that's usually where I turn my mic off and I hide back there.
Have you ever been to Storybook Land down the shore?
I think. So I saw this. I saw the cover for this.
Yes.
I did not actually go in and read it yet, and that's a shame because I love Matt Breen. So
it's a great article by Matt Breen because before there was the Philly Fanatic, the first mascots of the Philadelphia Phillies were created in 1971. Phil and Phyllis. You two probably have no idea what I'm talking about.
I do. I know their likeness because they're in the I have the shirt that has the two of them.
Correct.
I have the retro shirt.
Yes. Yeah. So Phil and Phyllis were created in 1971. And then they put them out when the Phillies moved to South Philly. They put them back in the outfield, and it was supposed to be like these animatronics that every time there was a home run, Phil was going to like hit a ball into a drum or something ridiculous. It didn't work. So they didn't last. For whatever reason, Philadelphia Phillies fans didn't really take to Phil and Phyllis. So then they got bought by some car dealer, and then the creators of Storybook Land bought them, and the whole story that Matt Breen does on the Inquirer is about Phil and Phyllis. And now if you go to Storybook Land, you see these big mascots there for the Philadelphia Phillies. So it's an interesting story. But I'm surprised this didn't land.
You're surprised Phil and Phyllis didn't land?
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun little, they got like a Revolutionary War look to them.
Yeah. No, it was a nice try. I mean, they did well with the Fanatic. I think, like, ultimately, whatever paved the way for the Fanatic kind of worked. Like, it's nice. It's not, what they should do is they should give you the live action and show up for, like, the Fanatic's birthday is next Sunday, I think.
Well, this kind of hurt. So Phil and Phyllis, they cost $80,000 to install them at the vet, and they didn't work on the debut.
So,
1971 debut.
I actually could see why it didn't work. I'll be honest with you. I'm going to come to the other side of the argument on this one. It makes sense why the two didn't work. It's a cool idea. I like the shirt I have. I got like the cream colored shirt where it's the two of them and the circle logo. I think I rocked it at a fan fest one of these years.
Yeah, so they're 15-foot statues, Phil and Phyllis. So they're down in Storybook Land now. But yeah, go on Inquirer.com and read Matt Breen's article. It's interesting. It's like I don't know. I find stuff like that interesting, like the fun history of mascots and different things like that.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm going to go read it now.
Speaking of mascots, we got a war going on with our station.
Crazy.
And Blooper for the Braves, man. Have you seen this on social media?
Yeah.
They haven't attacked our show yet because we haven't really poked the bear, but the morning show and even Tyrone in the afternoons has been getting at it with Blooper. Blooper's coming after us, man.
Well, I mean,
we did go after him. We threw the first shot. I agree.
Yeah, we threw the first shot because he had to wake up Blooper. Blooper was lost there for a little bit. But yeah, I'm very confused for me as to what exactly a blooper is. Outside of a knockoff to what the Fanatic, there's a lot of teams that basically saw the success of the Fanatic and were like, yeah, we're just going to do that. That's just what it feels like blooper is.
Yeah, well, they had to. I mean,
his name's Blooper. It's probably just a mistake, and then he landed with it.
Yeah,
it's possible.
I'm trying to see what actually.
But he's now trying to be like not only the Fanatic, but he's trying to be like gritty in the way that his personality is, as well, which is
yeah.
Which is a little bit of a steal.
So January 27, 2018 was when that they announced this. So I guess good for him. I'm very confused as to.
Wait, he's only about 7 years old, Blooper?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Which
I'm not going to waste my time with a 7-year-old mascot.
Right. I mean, it's
actually how old's Gritty?
Probably just around the same age.
Yeah. When did Gritty start? Gritty's fairly new.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, there. Some real creative stuff here. Blooper's favorite food, seafood. If he sees food, he eats it.
Oh, Bo. Haven't heard that one.
Dislikes rain delays. Oh, I'm shocked. Hobbies, hitting homers. That man has never once hit a home run. Blooper has never once hit a home run. You could get him a wiffle ball field. You could get the Celebrity All-Star Game wiffle ball field. That man's not hitting a home run. Give me a break.
All right, coming up, we're going to continue this Phillies conversation. I want to take a look ahead at tonight's matchup because you got a great game tonight. Phillies Braves, the rubber match. Two really good pitchers on the mound. So we'll talk about that. We'll also get back to our Nick Sirianni contract extension conversation because a lot of people weighed in on the text board. And I still want to hear your favorite sports video games of all time. You can get in 610-632-0975. We'll be right back.
The Philadelphia 76ers.
rubber match coming up tonight for the Philadelphia Phillies and Atlanta Braves. Braves took game 1 in a game that I think we all thought the Phils would take after Chris Sale didn't look like he was going to be that sharp in that matchup, and you got Zach Wheeler on the mound. You should have won that game when you put up 5 runs. Doesn't happen. Bullpen lets you down. But then last night, in the game that I thought the Phils had no shot at winning with Taiwan Walker on the mound, Walker shows up again. Another outing that the Phillies win. That's 2 in a row now where Walker starts the game and the Phils win. He doesn't get the win, but he goes 4 2/3, 0 earned runs again. His ERA on the season now after 2 starts, 0.0, just like we all predicted it. But a nice matchup tonight. Jesus Luzardo going up against Schwellenbach for the Braves, and Schwellenbach's been their best pitcher by far to start the season. Luzardo, though, after coming off the outing he just had where he goes 7 strong, this should be a pitcher's duel. Now, we thought that with Wheeler and Sale, but it should be a pitcher's duel tonight, right?
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're expecting, especially with Luzardo and Schwellenbach out there. I mean, the numbers for the Phillies against Schwellenbach in his career would suggest that he's going to be at least in line for a pretty solid start. He's got 3 starts in his career against them, a sub-3 ERA. And what you've seen from Luzardo so far, this Braves offense, and I understand this is Philadelphia Sports Talk Radio and we're Philly-centric on this one, but the Braves, I think there was a story in The Athletic, I think that's where it was today. I don't know if it was Stark or I think it was Jason Stark that wrote it, as like the Braves are getting to a point offensively where they're like concerned that 2023 was a massive outlier of what they have in terms of talent. And you remember that 2023 season, they were historic. And obviously Acuna has a big piece in what they do. And
Which he should be back soon, right?
Right. So there's reason to believe that they'll get back to what they expect. But like last night before the Riley homer, like his season's been interesting to watch. Olsen had that career year in 23. What has he been since that time? Albies. Like you go up and down that lineup and they've got some concerns. And, you know, if Luzardo was able to do it against that Dodgers lineup, there's a reason to believe he's going to do it again against this Braves line. Now, maybe not to the extent that we've seen, but he's going to put you in a position to win. But Schwellenbach is going to be it's going to be an awesome matchup on the mound. It really will be. And you hope that you get what you expected for Wheeler Sale tonight. I know Schwellenbach, I think, has jumped in a lot of Cy Young markets as one of the
he
highest
should
risers
be
quickly.
after the start that he's had. Probably going to be a lot of strikeouts tonight. Like you look in Luzardo in his 2 starts, 19 Ks. Schwellenbach in his 2 starts, 14 Ks. And Schwellenbach 0.00 ERA, Luzardo 1.5. You would expect it to not be high scoring, but who knows? But let me ask you a deeper question here, because Schwellenbach right-hander on the mound, so we know Schwarber's going to lead off tonight. You got Schwarber, Turner, Harper. Brings you to your cleanup spot. Now, Alec Boehm, struggling. He's under the Mendoza line so far this season. Goes 0 for 5 last night with 4 strikeouts. He's faced Schwellenbach 3 times in his career. He's 0 for 3. Castellanos, on the other hand, who's very hot right now, has faced Schwellenbach 9 times in his career. He's hitting .222, but at least he's faced the guy 9 times, OPS of .555. Would you consider flip-flopping Casti and Boehm for tonight's matchup?
I, of course, would consider it. I think you're ridiculous at this point not to consider at least rewarding Castellanos for what he's done and trying to put Boehm in a less high leverage type situation in the lineup, for lack of a better phrasing there. The issue I run into it is really, what does it do for Boehm? Like, and I know a lot of people, you can't think that way. Game 12, I can. You know, last year, not everyone, I don't want to generalize everyone, but you freaked out about him being sat in a postseason game. And it was like, how could you do that at this point? Like, where was this urgency at another time? At that point, you're trying to win a baseball game, and you need to put your best guy out there. Boehm, they need the best version of Boehm to be the team that we expect them to be. If that means helping him figure it out and trying to make things happen, everyone's like, well, you need protection for Harper. Harper did pretty good last night. Hit a home run, right? Like, is the protection that absurd that he needs that much in the lineup? I think we're getting to a point, again, with this. This is something I said about the lineup coming into the season and something I'll continue to echo about this configuration of the team. The issue to me isn't exactly how it lines up. It's the issue of who on the right side do you trust? Because ideally, you want Harper and Schwarber to be in the top 3 of your order every night. And if everyone wants that to be Turner leading off, then they have to go lefty-lefty. But, like, you want those guys to get the maximum amount of plate appearances possible. If you're going to do this left-right thing, it's about another right-handed bat stepping up right now. You like what you've seen from Turner to start the season, but their biggest issue is their two best bats are two left-handed bats in a lineup where they're committed to going lefty-righty. And that, to me, and not that that's a wrong commitment, but just that it makes it difficult to build out an ideal lineup for this team. So, Bohm being moved off of cleanup, sure, you could do it. I would consider it. I don't know if I'd do it this early in the season, but I'd consider it.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, too, the mental side of it. And I've picked on Bohm a little bit with his mental being a little bit, leaves a lot to be desired. You want to see him be not sulking and all that. But I do agree with you because I've made this point about Bryson Stott, too, that I want to see him continuing to get opportunities against left-handed pitching because you have to get him going. I do agree for this team to get where they want to get, Bohm has to get going. Like, you weren't able to trade him this offseason. This is the roster that you have. I don't think you're trading them in the middle of the season. So you have to get Alec Bohm to give you the best version of himself, which is never going to be a power bat, but he's going to drive in RBIs. He's going to hit balls into the gaps. He's going to get a lot of doubles. So you do need to get him going. So I do agree. If you do drop him too far in the lineup, what message does that send? How does that get him going and where he is? I just look at the way Rob Thompson has managed so far this season, and it seems like he's got a little bit more urgency to him. And it seems like he's not just sitting back and being complacent with things. So I could see a scenario where we'll get the lineup probably in a couple hours. You'll get it on the afternoon show with Tyrone, Ricky, and Sil. I would not be shocked if they flip-flopped him. Rob Thompson last year, I would say wouldn't do it. I could see him this year doing it.
I wouldn't be shocked about it. It's not something that would shock me. It's just you're sitting there weighing through the options. I just think right now I'm not making that move for a guy, again, that we talk so much about mentally. Where is he at? And someone has to have his back. I think Thompson's going to be the guy that has his back.
All right, well, coming up on the other side, I want to get back to our text board. I know a lot of people weighed in on this Alec Bohm conversation. People weighed in on the Nick Sirianni contract extension. We'll get back to that as well. The video game discussion, being that it's John Madden's birthday today. But I also want to get Ray's opinion on how important of a game it is tonight. Because the Phillies already went to Atlanta and they won one. So are we going to overreact tomorrow if they don't win this series, they don't win tonight? We'll talk about it coming up next.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phillies even the series. I'm Sean Rodman, and this update is brought to you by Groundworks, your expert for basement waterproofing and foundation repair since 1997. Book your free inspection at groundworks.com. Phillies win it late thanks to a home run in the top of the ninth from Trey Turner. Taiwan Walker went 4 2/3 scoreless innings. He allowed 5 hits and 3 walks yesterday, and in his 2 starts so far, Walker has not allowed a single run. Phillies look to take the rubber match tonight in Atlanta. Jesus Luzardo is on the mound for the Phillies, and Spencer Schwellenbach for the Braves. First pitch is at 7:15. The NFL Draft is 2 weeks away. Andrew DeCecca will host a draft special tonight on 97.5 The Fanatic. Sixers beat the Wizards on the road last night. The team currently has the 5th best lottery odds. The win last night did not impact the Sixers' lottery standings. This update is also brought to you by AAA Car Care. Save $84 on select sets for Nokian tires at AAA Car Care Centers. Offer ends April 15th. Details at AAA.com/mycar. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Hey, we're talking Phils. We're talking a little bit of Eagles. Nick Sirianni's contract extension. We got the NFL draft 2 weeks away. But a big game tonight, Phillies and Braves, the rubber match of the series. The Phils win it. They would have won every single series so far to start the year. Not too bad. But we've identified some issues, and maybe I'm spending too much time talking about the negatives because there were a lot of positives. But I just look at this lineup for tonight. I would move Bohm down. I would flip him with Nick Castellanos. But I know we got a bunch of action on the text board with this. What are they saying on the text board, Sean?
All right. As few people are critiquing, I guess, you a little bit. Bill has mentioned the Turner homer once, he says, this texter, and haven't heard him mention the Bryces today. But he mentioned Bohm struggling and being called a kid 17 times on the day after a win. My nephew is 27 and has served in the military for the last 7 years. Guess what? I call him kid. If it was stop calling him a kid, I'd get your fascination with this, but is Elder on the team doing it? Cry me a river, build a bridge over it, Bill.
Get him!
Man!
Get him!
Man!
Who was it?
Tell me
I
how
don't
you
have a name on this text.
Tell me how you really feel.
It's from Texas, though. That's all I know.
My goodness. All right, let me address a couple things. First of all, we have not only been focused on the negative, and I even went as far as saying, is this the Trey Turner that you thought you were getting when you signed him to a big contract? Because I've really liked what I saw from Trey this season, and it's not just the home run. It's his ability to get on base. It's his approach at the plate. It's his 395 OBP. But the whole thing about Alec Bohm is, unlike your nephew, I'm sure the narrative around your nephew hasn't been for the last few months that he needs to grow up. See, this is the thing. You can call your nephew kid even though he's a grown man and he was in the military. The issue I had with it is we came into this season coming off of a postseason where the kid had to be benched. The kid had to be benched because of his attitude. And we had this whole offseason about how it was time for the daycare to grow up. It was time for Alec Bohm to take that step. So when you refer to him as a kid in the middle of all of this, that's where I have the issue with it. So I don't want to harp on the negatives. I've tried to talk about the positive. We talked about Taiwan Walker. We talked about whether or not we can consider this a bounce-back season for Taiwan after 2 starts. I don't even care if Taiwan doesn't give you another good start. What we've gotten from Walker already, I am happy. We are now playing with house money. The rest of what Walker gives you the rest of the season will be gravy. The fact that you got 2 starts from him with 0 earned runs and you've won both starts, I'm happy. I don't need anything else from Taiwan Walker. Don't look at me like that, Ray. Don't you dare.
My man, we are what? 11 games into this thing?
You don't need anything else from Walker.
Give it a couple weeks.
151 times 3. There are still 453 outs yet to be recorded in the regular season for the Philadelphia Phillies.
And if Walker doesn't give you another solid outing, I already got way more from him than I ever thought we would get. And as long as Ranger Suarez, who started his rehab assignment today in Clearwater, if he comes back and you move Walker to the bullpen to be your long arm in the pen, and then you got Andrew Painter coming up in June or July, I don't care what Walker gives you. You've won 2 of his starts. Who would have predicted that you would have won 2 of his starts?
My man, it's PTO when there's 151 games left? Like, what are you doing? You're just handing him, thanks. Here's $18 million for 2 scoreless starts. He's been great compared to expectations.
Did you not want to DFA him last year?
No, because they weren't going to pay that money.
Oh, no, not what they were going to do. Did you want him DFA?
No, because I remember having this conversation. What other options did you have in the organization to cover innings? You needed to cover. You need to get outs. There are 453 outs separating you from the end of this season. You need to make those. Somebody needs to get those outs. This is the problem with, and this is again. I was living with Taiwan Walker last year. I was not happy with the guy at all.
I think that speaks for everybody.
Right,
yeah.
but I don't want to come across as like, oh yeah, I was so happy. The idea that Ranger Suarez has started his rehab, so we've gotten everything we need out of Taiwan Walker. No, we have not. No, we have not. He's not. He hasn't given us everything we need from him yet this season. He's given us 2 good starts. He's still making $18 million a year. And if the next 3 starts, he allows 6 earned run in each of them, you're not going to be sitting here saying, well, thank God for those first 2 starts. You're going to be saying, wow, do they have enough pitching in this organization to sustain what they need this season?
You're not wrong, as I like to say. It's just that if he has, let's say you need 2 more starts out of him. Right? How many more starts do you think you need before Ranger's healthy enough to come up?
I mean, if he's going 3 innings in Clearwater, I would imagine we got probably 2 or 3 at least left from Walker.
So if you get 3 more starts from Taiwan, and you lose all 3. And then we look back as Walker in his 5 starts, and it's 2-3. That is way better than I thought it would be. I thought they would have went 0-5 in Walker starts, and I think everyone out there would agree with me. That's why I say I've already gotten more than I ever thought I would get, and I'm happy.
By the way, it's 4,077 in terms of outs left.
Yeah, what did you say?
I said 453 because I did 151 times 3. They have to get more than 3 outs a game. The point remains.
1,500 SAT right there, Sean.
I was so baffled by what you said. I didn't even start putting math together there.
I got you all worked
I
up.
appreciate you, Scrapple Joe, for pointing that one out. That's a lot more than 453. But the point again remains: 4,000. You have more than 4,000 outs left to get through.
Yeah,
this
but
season.
Ray, let's go back. We were on the air for Taiwan Walker's first start. It was a business person special.
Yeah.
And you, me, and Mike were jokingly, tongue in cheek, saying, "How many runs is he going to give up before we get off the air?" We're going to be on the air for an hour of Taiwan Walker. How many runs does he give up before we get off? The fact that you've gotten 2 solid outings and you've won both games, I think, is more than anybody expected or could have asked for from him already, even though there's 4,000 more outs left. You've already gotten more from him than you thought you would, and probably more than you even needed.
But if last year it's Tyler Phillips that comes up and gives you 2 great starts, that's more than I ever could have asked of him. This is a guy that's $18 million on your payroll.
No, I get the money. I'm not talking about the money. Yes, you're right. If we look at the contract, then he needs to be performing like a top 3 pitcher on this rotation, and that's never going to happen. So I've given up him living up to the contract, where I guess what I'm saying is my bar was so low. Like, I never wanted to see the guy again. Like, I wanted them to DFA him. I didn't want him back. I didn't want them. I wanted someone to think that they could make him a reclamation project and trade for him during spring training and give you anything. If they gave you a bag of balls, I would have taken it. So the fact that I've gotten what I've gotten out of him, I am content.
And I'm telling you, to be content with him is letting him off the hook. Like,
you think I'm letting him off the hook?
Yes. He's giving you 2 solid starts. That's great. That's great. You're going to need to cover, again, 4,000 more outs this season. He's employed by the team to do so, and due to his contract, you're not moving him down to AAA. Like, this is someone that has to be on this team and has to perform for this team. I don't necessarily need him throwing shutout ball, but to pretend like he's giving you 10 2/3 and this is all I could ask for him from this season.
I wonder if there's anyone that agrees.
Gross overstatement.
If you agree with me, hit us up on the text board, 610-632-0975. If Taiwan Walker doesn't give you another solid outing the rest of the season, are you still happy with what you got? I'm happy with what we got. My expectations were so low for him that I'm already happy with what I got. But we started this conversation talking about the lineup and whether or not we would move Bohm in the lineup at all. Did we have more people weighing in on the text board with that?
Yeah, we have a couple people laying in on it. More so in the platoon aspect of it, though. One person, Trevor Perkins, saying is our expectation, criticism / frustration, too much on Bohm. Does he take too much heat? In this lineup, he should be your 5th best player at best. People act like he's a $300 million player. So does that mean you got to move him down in the lineup then?
Yeah, see, I try not to focus on the money. I mean, I understand the point that the texter's making. The reason why I've been so hard on him, and again, I'm not trying to focus on Bohm as much as we are. It's just that's what keeps coming up. It's because you were benched because of your attitude, and that's how you came back again this season. So I don't want to sound like this negative Nelly that the texter before that was saying that I've been, because there have been a lot of positives, and they are 8-3. But all right, let's look at this from another angle then, Ray. Not be negative about Bohm. Let's be positive about Nick Castellanos. So don't look at it in the negative that Bohm needs to drop in the lineup. Does Castellanos need to move up in the lineup? I mean, he's hitting the ball so well right now, Cassie. Should he have to move up to the cleanup spot? Let's not talk about it in the negative. We'll talk about it in the positive.
Yeah, you could talk about it in the positive, but how's Bohm going to interpret that?
See, that's what I'm saying. We keep coming back to that. Well,
but that's
how's poor Alec going to interpret it?
But that's exactly
how's
how
the kid going to interpret it?
Oh, but yeah, you go to the press. You're Rob Thompson. Today before the game, they asked you about after the game, they asked about the lineup. They said, "Oh, what's up with Casty going to bat fourth?" Oh, we just thought that Castellanos is hitting it so well, we want to move him up in the lineup. You come on the air tomorrow and tell me you're not going to say that Rob Thompson's a liar.
Why? Because he moved him?
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? We'll play that clip on the other side because Rob Thompson was asked about this post-game, if he would consider moving Bohm out of that cleanup spot. Doesn't sound like he's willing to, but we'll play that clip. We'll continue this conversation. We'll also get back to the text board on the Nick Sirianni stuff and the video games, sports video games on John Madden's birthday. All coming up next.
We want to hear from you, so text us at 61.
Fun show today, Ray. I've enjoyed our 2 days together.
This is it for us, right?
This is it,
Wow.
man.
I lose track of time in here. I'll be honest with you. It's a whole different world on this side of the glass.
It is, man.
I don't even like sitting in this chair. I just am here.
Do you like me better on this side or that side? You've been nicer.
Have I?
Yeah, a little bit.
Maybe.
I think you're in a good mood, though. We got to tell the audience. So you're not going to see Ray on the air tomorrow because he's got something to do in his personal life. But then tomorrow night, if you're watching the Sixers game, which I'm not sure a lot of people will be.
They played last night, folks. They won.
Oh, my God. We didn't mention that.
10-9-8
76ers. The Sixers won. And guess who else won last night?
The Flyers.
Sean, you got the horn? You got the horn? We had a hat trick last night, too.
Find the horn. It's in the top right of one of the hotkey pages. Top right, second one in.
There you go.
There we go. Hit it. Oh, there it is. We got a Fly Guys win last night. All right, we were not celebrating that much, but how about it, though? Tyson Forster with his first hat trick ever last night, and the Flyers win 8-5. I got to be honest. I didn't watch a minute of that. I didn't watch a minute of the Sixers. I mean, who's watching the Sixers or the Flyers right now when you got the fightings on against the Braves?
Yeah. It's a tough sell. Tough sell on that one. But, hey, good. Well, not really good for either team. Both teams need to lose.
But we had
the Phillies. For the guys on those teams.
We had the Phillies win on the road in Atlanta. You had the Flyers win on the road in New York. And the Sixers won on the road in Washington.
First time since 2003. I think that was Boop Stats that put that out there.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right, I want to go back to the text board because we had a lot.
Wait, but you didn't even get to the punchline of that.
What's that?
I'm courtside tomorrow.
Oh, I didn't get to the punchline. That's right. So Ray Dunn, thanks to our buddy Mikey Miss.
Yes. So I will say this. If you guys notice, sometimes I get a little irritable on the air.
You?
Yeah. Every once in a while they say
Sean.
something.
Ray? Irritable?
This is brand new information.
Every once in a while, the guys that usually sit in this studio, Bill being one of the two, along with Mike, say something that really annoys me. Usually it's Bill bringing up my personal life. But Mike also has decided that he's just going to take a shot at every single seat I have at a sporting event.
Even when your seats aren't that bad.
No. Yeah, the DC one I still understand, but that's fine. However, I did throw out there angrily at one point. I'll say it. I was annoyed. I was like, all right, well, you get me something. Mike came through.
He came through in a big way.
So shout out Mike. Yeah, I will be courtside for Sixers Hawks tomorrow night.
Yeah, so if you see
watching,
somebody give a little kick to Trae Young, it could be Ray Dunn.
Especially after 2021, man. I'm not over that loss. If you see someone courtside who seems like he's having a little bit too much fun, it's probably me.
Yeah, you should definitely take a picture, post it, and tag Mike because it's close enough for you.
I will.
Even though he's the one.
Yeah, I was going to say, do I get that snarky with him? I would probably just say, hey, shout out Mike Miss, thanks.
No, but pretty cool of Mike, and that'll be a cool experience for you tomorrow night. But no Ray Dunn tomorrow. You'll get Andrew DeCecco with me, and I think Austin Jones back behind the glass. And we'll do some draft talk tomorrow. Obviously, we'll react to the Phils. But I want to get back to the text board because we've had a host of topics today. Not only the Phillies, we were talking about the Nick Sirianni contract extension that we're still waiting on, and we were trying to predict what it may look like. And Ray and I both think that a 3-year extension wouldn't be enough. We think it's got to be 4 years. That would be basically a 5-year contract for Nick. And we think it's got to be upwards of $16 million a year in light of the fact that the other guys who are making 16 and more all have similar resumes to Nick Sirianni. Did people weigh in on that on the text board?
Yeah, we have a number of texts on that. First up, Mike from Turnersville, Sirianni and Howie should receive lifetime contracts. Let's set up statues of them outside the stadium. I don't know if that's being facetious or not. I can't tell.
Maybe a little bit. I'll tell you this, and I said this before, Ray. We've had this conversation. I would give Howie Roseman a lifetime contract at this point.
Well,
Howie's done enough to deserve a lifetime contract.
Jeffrey Lurie kind of alluded to that he's signed very long term.
He did say that at the owners' meeting, like he's going to be here forever. But I would never give a coach a lifetime contract, no matter who it is, because things can change with a coach, or their message could be tuned out by players, or their system gets old. Howie Roseman, as the general manager, has only gotten better. One of the areas, Ray, and you know this, that I was extremely critical of Howie was he was doing everything great except for drafting young defensive players. And now he's doing that well. He doesn't have a weak spot.
Yeah.
You don't have one.
No, he doesn't. I mean, he's 49, so
what's a lifetime contract?
Right, that could be
give him a 25-year deal. Nah, that's probably too long.
But that's
15?
25 is probably what, a lifetime, 74? What?
But here's the best part about what Howie Roseman has with the Philadelphia Eagles, and this is why I say I would give a lifetime contract to him. It's not only what he's done, it's the message it sends to the general manager, knowing that you have the job security. Howie Roseman doesn't only make decisions for this season. He makes decisions for 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. That's part of the reason why they traded Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. It's part of the reason why they weren't able to re-sign some of these guys is they know what's coming down the pike. Look at my favorite general manager, Joe Shane, and I say that sarcastically. He has to make decisions that save his job this year. If they don't win this year, Joe Shane's fired. I love having a general manager that knows I can make decisions that help me 2, 3, 4 years down the road because I'm still going to be here. I don't have to win now, even though they want to. I can also look to the future. I think that's important in a general manager.
I think it's important. I do think that part of what has made Roseman so successful is Laurie's ability to pony up cash at times that Roseman needs it to make those moves. I do think Laurie deserves credit. I know I was making the jokes about Laurie earlier, talking about Nick Sirianni, but overall, part of what Laurie does in terms of pony up the cash is puts Roseman in a good position to do his job at a very high level. Not a lot of executives have that ability to do what he does because of that, which would make me very interested to see. Like Roseman, if he was not employed by the Eagles, he'd be employed by someone else within 10 minutes, for sure.
Oh, what? But I don't even know if it would be 10.
Right. Well, he's got to at least get the facts over.
Actually, maybe longer because I think there would be 30 teams lined up.
Yeah, his phone would be blowing up. But again, I would be the lifetime deal means you're probably past the ownership of Laurie, and I'd be interested to see the way it works with someone else.
Well, you got Julian.
In this hypothetical. Well, yeah, is Julian going to be the same as Jeffrey? Do we know? I don't know.
Jeffrey addressed that as well at the owners' meeting.
Yeah.
Basically saying, Julian's ready, but I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I feel young.
That's good. Hey, listen, you should not go anywhere. Now, this is a very interesting topic that I think we could throw out to our audience at 610-632-0975 in the YouTube chat. I think Bill needs a lifetime contract at 97.5.
Yeah, I saw the amazing Ming said that in the YouTube chat.
610-632.
A lot of people agreeing too. I'm a little surprised. A lot of people agreeing with the lifetime.
I saw
contract.
one up arrow. Was there?
A lot of people, Ray.
A lot of people.
I think there was one person that agreed. Oh, before we get back to the Phils, I want to do the video games too. But anything else on the Sirianni contract?
Yeah, a couple of them actually. For this one we have is Mike checking in. He says you got to give Nick the big paycheck, Andy Reid money, because if we go back to the Super Bowl next year or the following year, he will automatically be underpaid. 4 years, $20 million a year would be fair.
Wow! So make him the highest paid coach in the league. That's what Andy makes, $20 million. But could you imagine, if in the next 2 years the Eagles win another Super Bowl, which we're all hoping happens and is not a crazy thought. Could you imagine if Nick Sirianni, Mr. Flower speech himself, would bring the team to 3 Super Bowls and win 2 of them? That would be unbelievable. And then Jalen Hurts would have multiple Super Bowls. It'd be awesome. All right, I want to switch gears, though, for a second, because today was John Madden's birthday. So we were talking about video games, and we had a lot of action on our YouTube chat and our text board about the best sports video games of all time. I went with Madden 04, and people were asking, yes, that was the one that had Michael Vick on the cover. Ray went with
NCAA 13.
NCAA 13. We were talking to Tyrone off air. He loves NCAA. Now, one of the ones that came up, Sean, was NBA Jam, and I said I loved the game. What I hated was no Michael Jordan, and someone texted in why Jordan wasn't in NBA Jam.
Yeah, someone texted in because there was a video game before by Nintendo that was Bird and Jordan. So Nintendo apparently had the rights to Jordan, so they weren't able to use Jordan in NBA Jam.
That was a good game. Jordan versus Bird was a good game.
Actually, I don't know that one.
Yeah, you don't say yes.
I thought you were talking about
it was
NBA
an awesome
Jam.
game.
I thought you were talking about NBA
What else
Jam.
we got? What else was on the text board with the best games, best sports games?
Well, some of these people checking in were kind of taking them back to maybe some college days and stuff like that. This person checking in says 94 Sega Hockey is not close, fellas. You listen to Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, time in college with 94 Hockey, and some bong hits, no cell phones.
NHL 94. NHL 94 changed the game. Yeah, very specific. We got the music they were listening to, but that does sound like a lot of fun. NHL 94 changed the game for me. NHL 94 was incredible, and then I kept getting them, but 94 was the one. And I saw some others on the YouTube chat that were phenomenal. Another hockey game that you guys won't know. Blades of Steel.
That one came in on the text line.
Oh, dude. Hits the pass. Hits the pass. Do you remember that?
No.
The best part of Blades of Steel, there was fighting in it. But if you lost the fight, your guy went to the penalty box.
Ooh.
So
I
if you
actually
won
do
the
like
fight,
that.
you got a power play. And the shootout at the end was great. RBI baseball was one that I kept seeing coming up. That was a great one. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Yep, both those came up too.
Phenomenal sport game, dude. Anything else we didn't say?
Yeah, we got, so one person said FIFA, soccer's right up there with Madden. Being Irish, trying to understand what was going on in Madden wasn't easy, so I guess a good way to learn the game. NFL Street Football was a big one. Volume 2 was specific from some people. NFL Blitz was on there.
Yeah, NFL Blitz was a fun arcade game, like in the arcade.
Zach from Seattle with my favorite game, Backyard Baseball.
That's a great one.
Was a all-time
Iconic.
classic for me.
Now, that one, I think maybe my age range, because I don't remember Backyard Baseball as
Yeah,
well.
that's
I
a
remember it.
mistake
I
on
didn't
your
play it that much. Yeah, Blades of Steel,
Bases
Tecmo
Loaded was
Bowl.
another one.
Bases Loaded was good. I'm trying to think if there was
Double
any other
Dribble
ones.
was one on here
Yes,
too.
Double Dribble. I remember Double Dribble.
Let's
So
see
I had
what
I had the original Nintendo that flowed into Sega Genesis, that flowed into Sega Dreamcast. I don't know if people remember Sega Dreamcast. And then I switched over to.
Is it wrong of me to
PlayStation.
say that monopolizing the games has led to worse product?
I don't play them anymore, so I wouldn't know.
Like, I think the licensing, like, when you had a little bit more competition, it was better.
Yeah, so I don't know. Hold on, before we get out of here, let's get some predictions for tonight's game. So the Phils, they got Jesus Luzardo on the mound. The Braves has Schwellenbach, who's been excellent this season. Braves are favored. They're minus 122. Phils plus 104, relatively close. The over 7.5 runs. Does Luzardo provide more magic tonight?
4-2 Phils.
4-2 Phils. What do you got, Sean?
I'm going 3-2 Phils.
Oh, man.
Oh, he's going to take the Braves.
You
just took the Braves.
Yeah, here's why. I think the Braves are more desperate tonight than the Phillies are. I think the Phillies are already playing with house money. You won last night with Walker on the mound. You went down to Atlanta. I think the goal was you just don't get swept down there. I think Luzardo will have a strong outing. I think Schwellenbach will have a strong outing. But I think what's going to happen tonight is what we've seen pretty much all season. The Braves will get to the bullpen for the Phils, and they're going to lose 5-4 tonight. But I'll be okay with that. As long as you don't get swept by the Braves, you can't win every series. They've already won every one so far this year. So we'll see how it all plays out. Who's hitting a home run tonight, Ray?
Let's go. Kepler.
Max Kepler, plus 750. Schwarber's a plus 320 with the best odds. You know who I'm going with tonight? My man, Nick Castellanos. Plus 700 to go yard. He's going yard tonight. Book it. I booked it last night with Harper, and Ricky Bo stole it from me and said it on the pregame show.
One texter apparently put $50 on it and won some money and wanted yours another one for you. And there you go.
Go with Casty tonight. All right, thanks to Sean. Thank you to Ray. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I'll be back at it tomorrow with Andrew DeCecco. Ray, you have a great weekend, my brother.
Brought to you by Electrical Workers Local 269 and the Electrical Training Alliance. IBEW 269 proudly energizes their community for over 100 years. Visit their website at IBEW 269.